Disclaimer. Welcome to Two Cops, One Donut podcast. The views and opinions expressed by guests on the podcast are their own and do not necessarily reflect the views of Two Cops, One Donut, its host, or affiliates. The podcast is intended for entertainment and informational purposes only. We do not endorse any guests' opinions or actions discussed during the show. Any content provided by guests is of their own volition, and listeners are encouraged to form their own opinions. Furthermore, some content is graphic and has harsh language. Viewer discretion advised and is intended for mature audiences. Two Cops, One Donut and its host do not accept any liability for statements or actions taken by guests. Thank you for listening. All right, welcome back to Cops One Donut. I am your host, Eric Levine, and with me today is my co-host that's usually a co-host on live streams, but today we're in studio for the first time doing a tandem with our friend Lenny Nebretski. Did I say that correctly?
Nebretski, pal.
Nebretski. I always put the R in the wrong place.
Good,
yeah,
you're not the only one that does
it's
that.
It's Polish, so we'll just go with that.
100%.
100%, right?
I'm still going to say yes.
Fair enough. How's it going, buddy?
It's going great, man. I'm so happy to be here, pal. Thanks for inviting me in.
It's been a long time coming.
Oh, my God. We've been talking about this for, what, 18 months, 2 years?
Yeah, at least.
Yeah.
And we finally made it come together. Banning, we've been talking about the same concept of us coming in and tag teaming our guest. So prepare. You're about to get tag teamed by a 300-pound country boy.
Okay. I'm glad I had a big lunch today.
Gonna need those calories.
Yeah,
Exactly.
It's been 30 minutes prior, right? We waited. You can swim. Okay, fair enough. Today we're going to be talking about Lenny's career in law enforcement, what led up to that, and what he specialized in out there. I believe New Jersey State Trooper, right?
Yeah. So, the first agency I worked with was New Jersey State Police,
Yeah. So State Troopers. So if you guys are listening to this, don't expect too much excitement except writing tickets.
Oh, my God. Right out from the gate. He's getting at me right after the gate.
Somebody's got to be a road pirate. Apparently, it's going to be you. So, all right. Well, with that, sir, let's...
Well, you left off the other part, too.
What's the other part?
Albuquerque Police Department, pal. So I was state police, right? And then I went and worked for a major metropolitan police department. So you can't leave that out either.
I'm sorry. Okay, so you went to Albuquerque, which was the punchline for everything on Looney Tunes.
Oh, my God, right turn.
Yes,
Yeah.
to turn it Albuquerque, remember? So, that's going to go over so many people's heads when they listen to this. I cannot wait.
Yeah, it's like when I'm at work and I work with a bunch of people who are like in their 20s and 30s and I make the reference to right turn at Albuquerque. They look at me like, you make right turns?
Yeah, love it.
Yeah.
How many references do you get for shows like Breaking Bad?
All the time, bro.
Sure
and I lean right in, man. I'm like, I pull up like, you think the show is good? Come pay me a visit. Come to Albuquerque and I'll take you on the real Breaking Bad tour and come hungry and you will leave happy.
Is it out of Albuquerque? Is that what the show was? Mm-hmm. I knew it was Arizona. I just didn't know it was Albuquerque.
Well, actually, no, it would be New Mexico.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm an idiot. I said Arizona. I meant New Mexico.
Eric
whatever.
did not have lunch today.
I did not. I had a bag of protein chips, and
You're looking fit, pal. I don't know what you're doing in the gym. You're doing something right.
Swimming. That's it.
Yeah?
I have not been working out, just swimming. Yeah, 30 minutes a day.
He swims with a leash, by the way.
Yeah, I do swim on a leash. I showed him. We were walking in. I got this new swimming thing where my pool's about 11 yards long. It's not long by any means, but it's a pain in the ass to swim back and forth.
Right.
Because I don't know how to do the flippy thing in the water and push off the wall. I can't do all that. So I wanted to get one of those machines that blow a current at you in the water so you can swim against the current.
Hold your back.
Well, have you seen how much those cost?
Holy cow, pal. I'm a humble public servant. I can't afford that.
Right. Yeah. So I looked at that and I was like, well, that's not in the budget. So how else am I going to do this? And I found the pool dog leash that you just tie to your hip and anchor it down, and it works. I swim for 30 minutes. I don't have to lift my head above the water. I got me a lap snorkel. I don't know if you've ever seen those.
No, I haven't
It's
seen
like
them.
a snorkel that goes straight over your forehead.
Oh, no kidding.
And yeah, just in a resting position. So
I've got to ask, do you have a safe button or a help?
I don't.
Some type of safe word that you can yell if you get into trouble with that
Nope.
leash? No?
Nope. If I go down, I go down with my boots on.
So speaking of swimming, okay to plug the Navy SEAL
Yeah,
Foundation
for sure.
event. Right. So like, and again, as we were walking in here, we were talking about swimming and everything. I'm a former triathlete, so I used to like to swim a whole bunch. And so on August 16th, 2025, the Navy SEAL Foundation is having the New York City SEAL Swim.
Okay.
So it's a little too close for me to get in and qualify and get in this event. But one, great event to support. What an awesome foundation. Navy SEAL Foundation does amazing work. Right. But now I'm going to start challenging my teammates. Like, we got a year. Right, we got a year to qualify. We got a year to train. Let's get ready and let's go crush it. 2026.
Oh,
Okay.
Yeah.
And you said it's a 3-mile swim?
Well, yep. To qualify, you have to be able to do a 3-mile open water swim.
Can you kind of give an example if people wanted to support that, what it goes to? How does it help the foundation a little bit?
I really don't want to misrepresent anything. So what I'll do is I'll say is like, if you go to NavySEALFoundation.org, you'll get the specifics there.
Outstanding.
Okay.
Thank
I
you.
like it. That's one thing that is a problem for me learning on the swimming side.
Yeah.
Is I'm tethered.
Right.
So I'm trying to use my Apple Watch. It doesn't really give you an accurate like distance on how far you swam.
Yeah.
So I have no idea like what I swim for 30 minutes really slow. It's not like my average heart rate's like 145 beats.
Yeah.
So I'm just trying to keep a pace that I know I could go 30, 45 minutes. And
can you do bilateral breathing? Breathe to both sides.
Yeah.
That's the game changer. That's what'll keep you swimming in a straight line all day long.
Yeah, I did notice that because when I was really good at swimming in high school. I wasn't a high school swimmer.
You're built like a swimmer.
But I liked it. And we actually we had a pool. Like most high schools don't have that anymore. So we had a pool. And I learned how to do all of the different styles there. But if you don't use it, you definitely lose it.
Oh, for sure.
So when I was trying to do them all again, I was like, well, freestyle I'm going to go with first. Trying to get the breathing down on that alone was a nightmare as I was trying to figure it out again. And finally, I figured it out. And I was only going to my right side just because I wanted to be consistent.
You wanted to breathe underwater, right?
That's
important.
Yes. And so I went with the right side. And then as I got more comfortable, I started to change it up. And I was like, all right, I'm going to do a down and back on the right side, a down and back on the left side to get more comfortable. And now I can do the bilateral. Yeah. So it does help a lot.
I was never I was triathlete. And so like the swim was always something that like I just had to get through so I could get on a bike. And I was always a good cyclist and a good runner. So like the swim to me was the one obstacle I had to get through so I could get back into the hunt. Man, I'll tell you, like now in retrospect, I wish I'd spent more time swimming because it's just great for your body. Right. It's an awesome workout, like low impact. I mean, it's a really good workout. Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
Love it.
I was built for cannonballs off the board.
All right. Yeah.
Yeah. I could see that.
Somewhere out there, there's like one of those, you ever see those like little floating docks? And like when a kid sits on the edge and somebody lands on it and they go flying in the air, right?
Those are awesome.
Somewhere there's a 5-year-old waiting for you to land.
That's right.
Yes.
That's right.
All right, Lenny, I want to know, there's a
got?
lot of draws to getting into law enforcement or a life of service, military, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And everybody's story is unique.
Yeah.
But it's funny that there's some common themes. Like for me, I tell people the reason everybody thinks I got into law enforcement because my dad was a cop. That's not why I got in.
I never knew that.
Yeah. He retired from the agency that I'm currently at. And it was a factor. I don't want to act like it wasn't a factor. It was a factor in there, but that wasn't the big draw for me. The big draw for me was as a kid seeing at family reunions and stuff like that. Who did everybody gravitate to? Who had the respect of the family? And so for me, it was seeing my grandfather was a firefighter, and I had my cousin was a state trooper in Michigan, and I had a couple cousins that were Army and military people, a couple Marines. Those were who everybody gravitated to every single time. And I'm like, oh shit, like I want that respect, not to be in the limelight, but to make my family proud.
Right.
And that was the only way to make your family proud that I was seeing was that's where you get the respect. Yeah. So I was like, okay, cool. That was a big draw for me. And then I had a bad experience with some cops as like a 12-year-old. They came down the street, saw me playing basketball on the street with my friends, knocked my hoop down, stabbed my basketball, said, we told you kids to stop playing basketball on the street.
Oh, that's so sad.
Yeah, and I wasn't who they were talking about. I lived on a dead-end street. So there's no through traffic ever.
Right.
So there was no, I think he had messed with some other kids on another street that was close by and just confused us.
Right.
So in that, I was not happy with police. I did not like
I
police.
can see why.
And my dad was a cop down here in Texas, so I called him and I was like, I fucking hate cops. Like, I was like, you're cool, Dad, but these cops suck. And, you know, and he's like, well, you can either be a part of the problem or part of the solution. And so that kind of stuck with me. And I wasn't hearing it at that time.
Isn't that what we do as dads?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, we ask the right questions.
And so now, looking back, that was a big event for me, and his words stuck with me. And that's what I'm getting to when I ask you this question. What were the draws? I know it's probably more than one factor, but what got you into a life of service?
Wow. And so like, I think like a lot of people, like it was all things that kind of came together at one time. Right. And so for me, like when I first got out of high school, I didn't have a whole lot of options. I really wanted to go to college, and just family financial situation, it just wasn't an option for me. So I ended up going to night school. I'm actually a DeVry technology graduate. And so like this is a long time ago. I
never heard of anybody that actually graduated from DeVry.
Yeah,
so,
I actually graduated from DeVry because that's like what I could afford. And I needed something. I needed like a vocation that I could make a decent living at. I had been an auto mechanic, so I knew how to fix things. Like, I guess that's like a skill I've always had, is like I can look at stuff and kind of figure out how it works and fix it real easy. So I'm like, I should do that with computers. So I went to DeVry. I went nonstop for 3 years at night so I could graduate. Got into like private sector. I'm out there. This is a long time ago. So I'm out there. I'm what they call a field technician. Right. And I'm working on computers and customer sites.
Nerd.
And like very quickly I realized like, man, this is not the job for me. Right. Like it's just, there's no reward in it. Like, when you're working for like a private sector company, like something like that, the rewards are different than when you're in a position where you're serving. And at the same time, I had a really good friend, he was my hunting buddy. Like we would hunt together, every week. And he's just a super great guy, Joe Galetta, love him to this day. His brother was a New Jersey state trooper. So Joe applied for and went into the academy, 102nd class graduate. He graduated State Police Academy, and he comes out and like, he cannot stop talking about how great his life is and the work that he gets to do and the things that he gets to do. And I'm listening to all this, and I'm like, he really likes his job and he gets a lot of satisfaction out of what he does. And I'm going to work every day and I'm not happy. Like, this is not really what I wanted to do. So I got into the process. So like in New Jersey, like if you want to be a New Jersey state trooper back then, it was a pretty arduous process. Like I remember like the first step in that process is like a written examination. So I show up at one of the places where they're having a written examination, and like there's literally 15,000 people that queued up outside an auditorium waiting to get in and take a written test. And like there are troopers who are just totally squared away. I mean, like in shape, looking good, like, great constructive force. And like, I'm like, this is for me. Like, this is for me. Like, this is what I want to do. And like, we're always like, okay, this is what I want to do. And like, it doesn't always go as smoothly as you hope.
Right.
And so like, I go through all the process, right? Didn't make it through the first time, came back, tried a second time, got through, got put into a class. I got put into the 113th class. And we're one of those classes in New Jersey history where like the class mustered up and we were ready to go to the academy. And for whatever reason, the budget and state of New Jersey at that time changed, and our whole class got put on hold. So for like 3.5 years, we kind of sat in limbo. So I'm okay. I'm on hold. Like this is what I want to do. So I've got to figure out what I'm going to do in my life until we get ready to go to the academy, which was just kind of like a never ending story, but we're all waiting. So I went to New York. I worked for an advertising agency in New York. I ran like a technology, like a software programming, function for this marketing company, but I could just tell like it just wasn't what I wanted to be doing. Like didn't have the same level of fulfillment that I was looking for, and I look back at my life, Eric, like some things happen for a reason. I think I'm like that person, like things happen for a reason in my life. Mm-hmm. Like going to that company in New York really wasn't kind of on my radar. But then like I'm there for a couple of years, and then I meet these people in the office, and I meet this one person in the office who's just like the most beautiful, dynamic human I've ever met in my life. And she has like, to this day, takes my breath away. Mm-hmm. And so like, yeah, I guess it was like going to work for that company in New York was a pit stop on the journey that I'm on. But like on that pit stop, I met the love of my life. And so that's where I met my wife, and we've been together 31 years. So I think like that was part of my journey. Like I was supposed to be there. Thankfully, it's at one point, like the class musters up. We go to the State Police Academy, 21 weeks at Seagirt, just, you know, another sunny day on the beach in Seagirt. And it was just, I felt so incredibly fortunate to like make it through training, to become a New Jersey State Trooper, and to serve. Like, it was just like, I remember walking across that stage on January 15th, 1993, 2 high balls in a left face. And the first thing the sergeant says at the other side of the stage is that you come across and you got your badge in your hand, and he says, "Good job, troop." Like, man, like to this day, I think about that. I still get like chills about like how great that was to be like, and he says, "Good job." First time anybody ever called me trooper.
Yes, that's what I was going to say. Yeah. 21 weeks, and then all of a sudden, it's just like, you know, graduating boot camp.
That's what I was just going to refer to. You know, in the Marine Corps, they treat you like a bag nasty.
Oh yeah.
You know, for the entire time until that second to final day, they're handing you the Eagle, Globe, and Anchor badge symbolization.
Yeah, right.
And they say Marine, and I don't care how badass you are. I don't care what you've gone through in your life. You break down like a 5-year-old.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's just because it's natural. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
You've worked so hard to get to that point. So I can, that's awesome, man.
Because it means something. That's the thing. One of the problems that I'm seeing in law enforcement these days is people are getting into this career field, and it's not a career for them. And they know that.
It's crazy. Right?
It's a stepping stone for other stuff it's just passing time to me. And I find that incredibly odd.
Yeah. And so it's a different lifestyle. It's a different level of commitment. Mm-hmm. Again, like, you know, I'm so proud to this day to be a New Jersey State Trooper. I'll always be a New Jersey State Trooper. I'm also so proud to have served with the Albuquerque Police Department. Like, that's all I ever really wanted to do. Like, I didn't come to the state police thinking like, wow, this is going to be a stepping stone for me to go do 10 other things. And we all know, like, once you retire, there's so many opportunities for you. You learn so many skills. You pick up so much experience. Like, you're so marketable in other places. But that was never really my intention. Yeah. Yeah.
Now, in becoming a state trooper, this was in, you said 92?
So I graduated January 15th, 1993, 113th state police class. Started August 23rd, 1992, probably the hottest day on the earth, right?
Yeah.
And so for the first 90 minutes, we all stood in formation in the parking lot with our luggage, right? For 90 minutes, putting it down and picking it up and putting it down and picking it up until we could all put down our bags and pick them up at the same time. So,
yeah. It's adhesion, that team adhesion that you need to get.
Yeah. It was a unique environment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now you actually you slept there.
Yeah. So we're a residency academy to this day. We're one of the few residency academies, which is a blessing and a curse. Like, it's a blessing that you get to spend so much time with your classmates and you really bond as a class. You gel as a class. Like, you know, you very quickly all get on the same page, or you don't. And if you don't really last very long. And then like, that's the blessing. And then, you know, being up at 3:00 in the morning, you know, marching around at 3:00 in the morning, you know, you'll be out marching, you'll come back and they've tossed all of your bunks out, you know, mattresses out on the front lawn. And now you got to go clean all that stuff up. Yeah. It's good.
I like it. All right.
Cool.
Now, you did how many years as a New Jersey State Trooper?
25 years.
So you did 25 years there. So that's a long career. Can you tell me your 2 main specialties that, you know, some people, I did SWAT or I did K9 or I did, you know, Vice. Like, what was your specialties as a trooper?
Yeah. So I became a state trooper and I always wanted to get into investigations. Like, that was the thing that always drove me. I was always intrigued by it. Like, you know, when I was working at a station as a road trooper in uniform and out there doing patrol, you know, every station had like station detectives. Like, I was always really interested in what they were doing, how they were doing it. Like like all the psychology behind like interviews and stuff like that. Like, I was always really interested in that. So like, that was always my focus. I always wanted to get into some form of investigations. Now, when you come out of the State Police Academy, everybody goes on the road. Like, everybody serves in uniform, general duty road trooper, right? So everybody does a stint on the road, and that's good. Like everybody comes from the same basis of, experience, same experience, you do similar duties. So everybody's a general duty road tripper. And then typically, depending upon what assignment you'd like to go to, like as you get more and more time on, you become eligible to apply for assignments. I only ever applied to be a detective. And so I was really, really, really fortunate. With about 5 years on, I became a detective.
Okay. Now, what was the specific crimes that you went after as a detective? Was it sex crimes, property crimes? What was it?
Yeah. And so there was an opening for positions in the intelligence section. And like, they don't tell you exactly what your job's going to be when you go to the intelligence section, just like, hey, like you can go to the intelligence section. So like there were detectives in the intelligence sections. There were people in ESU, electronic surveillance unit. They had other positions in the intelligence section. So I just interviewed for the intelligence section. And quite frankly, like I had a strong technical background. And so I really thought like, with all my experience in technology, I'm like, they'll scoop me up in ESU and I'll go do what ESU stuff. And I was okay with that. I wanted to get into investigations. And during the interview, this lieutenant who was in the interview board, Jimmy, like he was just awesome. Like, we did the panel interview, I went through that whole process. And afterwards he pulls me aside. He's like, you're coming with me. All right. And so I ended up being in the intelligence central unit. And he's like, they all wanted to pull you for ESU because obviously I had like a technical background. He's like, you'll make a much better detective out on the street. And to this day, I'll be incredibly thankful. Like my career could have gone in an entirely different direction, but Jimmy saw something in me that he thought was really good and pulled me into the intelligence central section.
Can you describe what that is for people that have never heard of that unit?
Oh, so yeah. So, and it's all changed. This was going back in 1995, right? No, I'm sorry, 1998. So it's changed a couple times over, but like the intelligence section is really like, they're kind of tasked with understanding like intelligence priorities for the state of New Jersey. In that time in 1998, a big part of our focus was La Cosa Nostra, like organized crime. And so like a lot of the people who were working in the intelligence section in my office were really kind of focused on essentially organized crime. What it, just didn't really matter, like whether it was like La Cosa Nostra or, just like, domestic DTOs, like drug trafficking organizations, as long as there was an organized crime nexus, we could collect information on that.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah. Helpful.
I know. I like that. Well, the whole point is to educate other people on stuff they don't see. I know what it is. I gotta get it out of you you'll get used to the format of how I ask questions and then get clarifying questions to educate the people.
Yeah.
So is that AC working for you, bud?
Feels great.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just making sure.
So again,
freezing my ass off over here.
Luckiest guy you've ever met. Hopefully as I'm telling my story, you'll see what I'm talking about. Like luckiest guy I ever met. Like my first, so I come out of uniform, I go to be a detective. Like my first assignment, like they could have sent me 90 miles to B Troop, or they could have sent me 110 miles to C Troop. I get assigned to C Troop, which is like 15 minutes from my house. Now, granted, that's where the office was. All of our work was out in the field, so we were all over the state. But like literally, I got stationed the closest place to my house, so I felt incredibly fortunate. And then like in the intelligence section, as opposed to some of the other investigative units, so like if I had gone to narco, I'd only be working drugs. If I had gone to major crimes, I'd only be working like major crimes. If I had gone to, cargo theft or auto theft, like I'd be working those specific crimes. In the intelligence section, you worked everything. You could work drug trafficking. You could work a homicide. You could work whatever. Like you could work, organized criminal groups. You had the opportunity to work all of those crimes, which is pretty cool.
I like that.
Yeah.
My whole thing from being in law enforcement, I got in just about a year after the towers got hit in 2001, and meaning working for law enforcement. And when I got to talk to the guys that were training me, is listening to that evolution of technology.
Right.
So you were in during that time to where technology was really starting to take off. We were going from,
or not.
In high school, I had a bag phone and a beeper. I did tow truck driving as one of my gigs in high school. My school actually helped me get that job. And friggin' watching the technology go in law enforcement, trying to do that chase.
Oh yeah.
So, and how do you feel that your agency did when the evolution of the smartphone started coming? Were they real quick to get trained up and train the trainer? And I'm talking about when we get to the phone dumps and we get to the, do you feel that your agency always wanted to be tip of the spear and learning as the technology would rise going after these bad guys and all the technology they were using.
Yeah. And so like we were always trying to stay ahead of it. But like we all know, it's a challenge. Like we always wanted to make sure like we were one step ahead, but like technology at that time was changing so quickly that it was really kind of hard to stay up. And so I remember like being like, being a monitor in a wire room and being up on a wiretap, and then like, oh, what are these Nextel phones?
Yeah.
What's this whole thing, right? And like, and then all of a sudden, like all our, like it seemed like like in a day, like all our wires went dead, and like, oh, they switched to Nextels.
You know what my favorite thing to do with that was? When your friends are at the store,
right?
And there was you couldn't silence that thing. So you just chirp and just start making noise. I would, oh man, I would make the most inappropriate noises that were out there.
Oh my God.
Just to get your friends, or I won't even go into how far we would go to make that prank work.
Yeah.
But it was epic. I loved that era of Nextel, and then they finally came out with the update so it wouldn't do that anymore.
But isn't that like the greatest thing about, working in law enforcement is like, it's such, there's such a bond between the people that you work with, like, and the people that you love the most are the people that you prank the most.
Oh, for sure.
Holy cow. Like I will tell you from firsthand experience, like you give a state trooper like a couple of pictures and some Scotch tape and a copy machine, and they are like a Picasso with whose head they can put on whatever.
Yeah.
And like, they can turn they can do some art themselves.
The original Photoshop.
Photoshop,
Yes.
which was like the Scotch tape and the copier. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
And that's how you knew you were loved. Like if they weren't giving you a hard time, you might be doing something wrong.
Yeah, you might be the dude that nobody really likes to hang out with.
Yeah.
So stay in that mindset for a second and go back to, you graduated the academy, you got your badge, a lot of states do it differently. Eventually you're issued your car, and a lot of times you're not even going to be in that car because you're with your FTO and his.
Oh yeah.
And going through these different phases, what were some of the shenanigans, if you will, that veteran troopers would do to you that you may have passed that and did it throughout the years? Because we all have, there's a ton of things that Texas does, and it's probably the same all over the country, but there's these little nuances that people do that some of it's really funny, and it's not mean, and some of them are really mean as well. We had some as well that I went through, but I'd love to hear.
I thought baby powder was mean. I did not like that one.
Yeah. So I'll tell you, like fleet key on the car.
Mm-hmm.
Like you park your car, leave it running in front of the 7-Eleven to go in and get a cup of coffee, and you lock your car, right? And you left it running, but it's locked, right? You're in there. Maybe you're in there a little too long because you're having a conversation with the people inside there. And then like you come out and all of a sudden your car is nowhere to be found. Yep. And the expression on somebody's face when they're like,
yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
It's just around the corner. Yeah. So for those listening, if you're wondering what we're talking about, when we say fleet key, all the patrol cars for certain agencies, they operate off of one cut for a key. So typically an officer always has two keys, and they keep one on their belt or wherever, and the other one always stays in the car because the car will stay running, because you want your computer to be up and running. You don't want the batteries to die. You want, if depending on your state, you want it to be warm or you want it to be cold on the inside. But you need to be ready to go in case of an emergency at all times. So the cars always run. Well, if somebody has the same exact key as you on all the same vehicles, well, they can get in and out of your car, and the shenanigans begin. So one of the pranks that I hated the most, that I thought was mean, and it was the baby powder. They would shove baby powder inside the AC vent.
Kick everything on high for when you start.
Yeah, so when you start that car up, it would just, or talcum powder, or whatever they wanted. It was baby powder when I saw. If you're in Texas and you're sweaty when you get into the car,
it's like mud.
It just turns to mud, and you just can't get it out of your damn uniform, and not until you wash it anyway. And it's just there, and you're screwed. And I thought that was a mean one. I don't mess with people's food either.
Yeah,
I may eat some of your food if I ask, but
right.
I'm not going to mess with your food.
And so like, so on midnights, like we ride two troopers to a car on midnights. And so, back then, when you would get together for dinner on a midnight, you go to like a local diner.
You rode two troopers to a car?
Two troopers.
I've never seen that.
Oh yeah.
Anywhere.
That's awesome.
Two troopers to a car.
Holy cow.
Yeah. And so like your partner on Midnights, man, I'll tell you, you go through some really good things together. You go through some hard things together, but you go through them together.
Yeah.
But like the squad, but typically it was quiet. We'd all get together at a diner and we, everybody sit down, have like an old school squad breakfast or whatever. Yeah. You didn't ever want to get up from the table until you finished your meal. Like you didn't want to get up halfway through. And come back because, like, maybe you got halfway through your breakfast, you come back, that thing is gone.
Salt on your pancakes.
Oh,
God, just nasty.
No.
Yeah.
No, I don't mess with a person's food. That's a no-no for me.
But guys and girls were tight. Like super, super tight.
Yeah, absolutely.
And like, I think back to like some of the things that just, and I will forever be thankful for. I mean, just like literally, we had our portables, like when I first got out, a portable had no hand mic, right? So you had to carry it on your belt. But then we got the ones with the little hand mic, the lapel mic, you could just kind of click. I can't tell you how many times like I'd be out on a car stop or something and like literally all I'd have to do is just click the mic, beep, beep. Hey, can you send somebody this way? You start rolling a car this way. And next thing I know, I'd have, 5 of my closest friends rolling my way to come help me if I needed it. And like, yeah. We're tight.
They know if Lenny's calling, there's something's amiss because he doesn't call for help unless he needs it.
Yeah.
So that is the benefit that I see with troopers versus municipal cops versus the ability to go through your academy together and stay together.
Yeah.
It's just like a boot camp, and that's why you get so close with your friends and stuff in the military.
Oh, can I tell one academy story?
Of course.
Okay. So, obviously, you show up to the academy in the first day, first weeks, you don't really know which end is up, and that's on purpose, right? And so like, very specific rules, very specific guidelines about how you show up, what you show up with. And like in our case, shaved head, right?
Right.
Like absolutely shaved head, everything down, right? I had never shaved my head before. Like that was just not something I ever did, right? So like the night before I'm going to the academy, my girlfriend at the time, who became my wife, she's like shaving my head. Right. And like I feel sorry for her to this day that she had to do this, but like, she's like she's doing the best she can with the razor. And apparently like, just like behind my ear, there was like this one little strand of hair, like everything was pretty tight, but then there's like this one little strand of hair behind my ear. And this guy is instructor, Tim Fogarty. I love that guy. He's just a mountain of a man. Like I'm standing in formation in the gym. We're getting ready to do PT. And he's like looking me up and down. He starts yelling at me like, "Who shaved your head?" Like my girlfriend, sir. When you go home on Friday, tell her she sucks, and then don't come back on Monday.
Thanks, honey. The plot twist: when you got home, she'd be like, "Did they find the hair?" Got you good, fucker.
Exactly.
Oh crap! Yeah, I think that's the difference between the municipal and sheriff's departments and stuff like what we went through is we went home every night.
Yeah.
Went home every night.
But sometimes that's even more challenging.
It is challenging, especially when it wasn't for me. I always knew what I wanted to do. I've been through 3 police academies as it is anyway. Right. That's just, and then I became an academy instructor. So you really have an insight on it. And I'm just like, you're getting paid to work out. You're getting paid to be yelled at. Like, who cares? Like, if it's your dream, that's a drop in the bucket. I don't care.
Right.
So for me, that not hard. And the military, I think, kind of broke me of that really early. So being separated from the family and then coming home and seeing your loved one, I could see that taking a toll on some people if they're not used to that,
right, and
don't have that, inoculation, so to speak, of being away from their family and friends. But for me, was it ever in the Marine Corps? Maybe I could see a little
absolutely.
homesick, but
yeah, you get homesick and everything. But we had such a good crew where I was stationed at or what I did. You can get through it together. Everybody was going through their own shit, so to speak.
Yeah.
And you had people that you could talk to about it, which was great.
Yeah.
We were all retarded Marines, so to speak. Jokingly.
Yeah.
And I say
what was your favorite flavor crayon?
I call it grape, but purple. I've already. So people actually mail that in the mail to me. Friends on LinkedIn will send me those all the time. So my daughter will never run out of crayons.
At least the color purple.
That's right.
Exactly.
That's
as long as they're grape.
Yeah, and I think there's a big difference too now with the generations. They're so used to having this readily available.
Right.
And when we went through as our generation, we had to cure our own boredom a lot. So going through basic for me, easy. Like I didn't have that homesickness because I knew how to drive my brain and keep myself from dwelling, so to speak. Did I get homesick a little bit? Yeah, if I thought about it, but I think that's something that we taught ourselves as I don't want to say a coping mechanism, but the ability to push through adversity.
Right.
Is we had to cure boredom. I played wall ball for hours. I don't know why I did it. I was practicing to become the next Nolan Ryan, in my head. Like I remember that exact thought. I'm like, all right, Nolan threw a lot of baseballs. I'm like, I'm just going to take this tennis ball and just keep chucking against the wall and practicing my infielding right there.
Right.
And then hours. You try to tell my kids to go do something for minutes. They're like, that's boring. I'm done.
Backyard with a ball up on the roof. Clunk,
yeah. Trying to wait.
Catching it. Clunk, rolling back down, catching it for hours.
Yep.
You always have to do a little special bounce if you had gutters.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Right?
How many I lost in the damn gutter.
Yep. You're like, dang it. Now I got to get back. They didn't have those gutter guards that they have now. Well, rich people, I think, had them.
Yeah.
I say that. Now who's got them? This guy. So, yeah.
Can I ask a quick question? So I just got to tell you, I have so much respect for Marines and what Marines go through in their in their boot camp. Like what did you guys do to get through? Because I mean, it's a tough experience.
A lot of man love.
I went through in '97, and we were the first platoon on the East Coast of Parris Island to roll through what's called the Crucible. And the Crucible,
we
had Parade Magazine there, Navy Marine Corps News. It was really neat. And our platoon was on an insert inside of Parade Magazine. So you can see my skinny, I probably lost about 60 pounds in boot camp.
Wow.
Rocked up solid and never lost that type of weight. I played football in high school and whatnot.
Right. Born again hard.
It was. And all I had to go off of, just to give you an example of where I came from before I got into that, was my father was an Air Force, or he was an officer in the Air Force, fighter pilot. And so I had his stories. And anytime I asked my father when I was mentally preparing myself for the academy, because my recruiter wasn't really doing that. I was another number and he got me.
Oh, yeah.
He's like, Banning, you don't have to worry about it. My father was jacking with me. He's like, you're going to have these little ladies that come in at 0400 hours when you all wake up and they're going to make your beds for you. And then they're going to help you get dressed because you're probably going to be sore from PT in the day before. And he was so mad that I decided to go to the Marine Corps and I didn't want to follow his footsteps.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he was the brainiac. I was not. So the Marine Corps was perfect.
Yeah.
And, man, it was a shock. And I was the guy that came in, and I think I covered this in one of his podcasts, that I didn't know anything about it. I never watched the movie Full Metal Jacket. I never saw Platoon. I didn't have the mental preparation. My recruiter told me, go run 400 meters Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and by the time you go to boot camp 2 days after high school graduation, you'll be good. Well, I did track, but I did more of a shot put and discus.
Yeah,
that makes my thing. That makes a lot of sense.
And when I ran 400 meters, I needed a day or two to recoup because I was a freaking lineman. So I did it. I'm like, man, this is great. So the first day I arrived at the airport, they have junior drill instructors come and meet you there.
Right.
And like I said, I've never even seen a TV show with Marines. All I knew is my recruiter had dressed blues and women flocked to him. And I'm like, there it is. That's awesome. That's a squared away looking uniform. I want that.
100%.
And anyway, so I get to the airport and this young Hispanic drill instructor comes up to me and starts yelling at me in the middle of a public terminal because I'm carrying the folder that everybody knows that these guys know to look for. And he's asking me these questions that I don't have answers to. And so I stopped him. I was like, sir, with all due respect, you don't have to yell at me. I can fucking hear you just fine.
Right.
Well, he communicated with my senior drill instructor because from there to the bus to Parris Island, I was a project. And every time he yelled at me, I'm like, hey, I'd start clapping. Hey, does everybody else here have hearing problems? I didn't know what to expect. So when I got to platoon 2072 Golf Company, senior drill instructor Staff Sergeant Scott got a nice phone call from the guy that received me, and I became a project. Matter of fact, one of my drill instructors follows me on LinkedIn. His name was Staff Sergeant Meeks.
That's hilarious.
He got to watch my transformation of being a little turd,
right,
a citizen slush bag,
right,
to what I became just 13 weeks later, was night and day, according to him. We all were. The whole platoon was. And we had a lot of people that didn't make it. We had a lot of people that got recycled. But for for the Marine Corps to be able to take literally anything, melting pot in America, and turn them into what they turned us into,
right?
It's iconic, man.
Yeah.
And I owe my entire career to that. Everything I can relate to in life when it comes to discipline or leadership is United States Marine Corps.
That's awesome.
It was the enlisted side. You know, I always tell people I wanted to work for a living. I told my father that.
Awesome.
He hung up on me a couple times, but
yeah,
it was one of the best things I've ever done.
So,
and I'm sorry.
I was going to say, tell me about the sand fleas. Like, I think the sand fleas in Parris Island are like iconic, right?
They are.
Like, you don't have like a real Parris Island experience until you.
And I don't think I caught victim to that too much.
Okay.
Just like if I go outside with my wife and we do yard work, she'll come back in and looks like she has some flesh-eating disease from mosquitoes, and I'm not getting bit.
Yeah.
So they also said they're attracted to different blood types, body types. I got lucky with that. Now, where I suffered from is how pale I am, the red hair. I was the guy in a PT shirt that had 2 big white stripes on the back, and that's for the Navy corpsmen to keep an eye on me because I could fall out in a run. I could fall out in a hump, 60-pound weighted hump. And thank God I didn't. The reason I didn't, and I hydrated well, is they told me if I fell out, I was going to get what's called the silver bullet.
Oh, yeah.
Sir,
Oh,
what's a silver bullet? They pull your pants down, and they've got to get a core temperature to find out if they're going to need an ambulance. It's basically an 8-inch device that gets inserted rectally to get your core temperature. Brother, I did not pass out. I hydrated and ate like crazy and never had an issue. So I watched people go through it, and it did not look fun.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember the point that I was going to bring up now, and I just lost it.
I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, you're good. What were we talking about? I know what it is now. The transformation.
Mm-hmm.
So when we talk about the transformation, the brainwashing, I mean, that's really,
re-socialization.
Yes,
sir.
So the brainwashing side of the military, that is one of the benefits in a good way. There are some things that I think, looking at it from the adult side, like the grown-up side of me now, looking back, I'm like, oh, I see why. I see why it's 18-year-olds that they go after. I understand the mechanism behind having that military machine run. You got to have it because that 18 to 25 mark is, our brains aren't fully developed yet. That, prefrontal cortex is not done. And that's where they're using that to mold us. That's why it's harder for these older military people when they come in. I was older. I was 23, I think, when I came in. And I had a little bit of life experience.
Yeah.
So when you went in and you were the project, I went in and I was like, I'm staying under the radar. And I knew how. And I did the whole entire time. And the only reason, I may have told this story before on here, but I don't remember, but the only one time did I ever show up on their radar, and it's because you guys know my sense of humor. We're standing in chow hall line waiting outside under the girders there, and I look up and I see a big old male pigeon and 2 little female pigeons, and there's not enough room for them to walk by each other, so they like ping pong balls bouncing off each other up there. But in my view, there was only these 3 pigeons. There's nothing else to look at. You're just staring at the back of somebody's head.
Right.
And Lord help you if you move or look around, because the drill instructors are constantly watching. So I'm sitting there, and this male pigeon sees 2 honeys, and he goes to town on both of them, just bouncing back and forth, nailing them.
Wow.
And they're making noises. And I'm like,
You couldn't keep your composure.
oh my God, I lost my shit. I could not. I mean, I'm quietly laughing, but my shoulders are bouncing.
Oh my God.
Everything about me is probably standing out. I got tears rolling down my face because I couldn't keep my shit together. Because in my head, I'm like, you're not supposed to laugh. You're not supposed to laugh. You're not supposed to laugh. That shit's funny. I don't give a fuck.
Exactly.
So I'm losing my shit. And then all of a sudden I felt it. Pop, right on the neck. A hat. What's so goddamn funny? And I'm like, oh, shit. Tell you what, Levine, and he talked like that, real slow and like in pieces. Tell you what, Levine, you make me laugh. We'll call it square. I don't laugh. They all suffer. He's talking
No
about
pressure.
No
Yeah.
pressure at all.
He goes, or you can accept your punishment. I was like, fuck that. This is funny. This is funny. I don't care who you, and this is the older person, like 18-year-old,
Yeah.
they're going to be like, oh shit, no way.
Yeah.
Me, I'm like, I'm going to take my chances. We're going to have to push any, like you think a little different
Yeah,
as
exactly.
you're older. I'm like, we're going to get,
Roll the dice.
they're going to mess with us anyway.
Yeah.
And to be honest, we're probably 3-4 weeks in, you know, Air Force in BMT is not that long anyway. It's like 8 weeks. So I'm like, all right, fuck it. Let's roll the dice. I was like, sir, permission to move freely. And he's like, oh, by all means, show me this production. I was like, sir, you see those pigeons up there? And he's like, those pigeons right there, not these ones over here. He goes, no, those ones right there. So he's like, oh yeah, I got you these ones right here. You know, he's playing the role. And I was like, see the big one in the middle? And he's like, the big, yeah. What do you say? The big papa looking motherfucker. And I was like, yeah, him. He's like, yeah, what about him? I said, just watch him for just a few seconds. And now I'm fingers crossed.
Yeah.
Keep doing what you was doing.
Let's hope he doesn't get stage fright.
Yeah, exactly. And so on cue, my boy just goes and just grabs her up with his wing, pulls her in, and goes to town. And I'm like, oh, thank you, Jesus. And I'm like, all right, that's half the battle right there. And he's looking up. I can't see his face. All I can see is the back of his hat.
Right.
And I see his shoulders bounce just a little,
But he ain't gonna
real
admit that
quick.
to you.
And he just walks away. He doesn't say shit. He just walks away. I was like, oh, shit. And so I'm not in formation, really. I'm kind of in my spot still, but not really. And so I'm looking around, and one of my guys goes, you won. Get back in formation.
And shut up.
Funniest thing
So
ever.
You guys didn't get thrashed on that.
Nothing. Nope. He owned it. And he even told me when we graduated, because he wasn't my instructor. He waited for my class to graduate to come in and meet my wife and my parents because they came in.
Right.
And at my locker, you know, he comes to your foot locker and stuff. And he goes, I just want to tell your family, you did a great job. He's like, and your son is the first person, he goes, in my almost 4 years of doing this, it's ever broke me. I said, and I'm like, so in my head, like so much had happened. I wasn't sure what he was referring to at that moment. I was like, I broke you. When did I break you? He goes, the pigeons act like you don't fucking know. And I was like, oh, I was like, you did laugh. He goes, I lost my shit around the corner. He's like, I ain't never seen anything like that. He's like, yeah, I was so mad, but I couldn't say shit. He's like,
he probably giggled each time he walked past that part of the base
Exactly.
just because of that.
Exactly.
oh my God, the stuff. I mean, like I said, the programming, the whole process of it. Like you were saying, I realized what was happening, or I realized what happened to me. And for a lot of it, I'm thankful because like you said, the leadership and the discipline that I have is because of that.
Right.
And then the way that I look at my life now as a cop, like I'm glad it didn't stick on me so hard that I didn't become a free thinker the way that I am in police work.
Yep.
So when I'm looking at police work, this was a long way around, but as I'm looking at police work and I start thinking about leadership and how many light years behind we are in leadership compared to what we are in the military.
Yep.
In the military, when we have a position, you're training the people underneath you to take your spot.
You should.
That's how that is.
Right? You should.
You're always in the concept came from probably the Marines and the Army back in the day. If you drop in the field, I need somebody that can step up,
Right.
that's ready to take my spot if I go down. We don't really carry that as much in the police realm. I think the troopers, you're definitely more paramilitary,
We are.
so it's probably more beholden in you guys to have better leadership training. I don't know. I'm speaking out of my ass, but because you've got that paramilitary, but like in municipal policing, deputies and sheriffs together, I think we lack in leadership, and the stuff that we're training now, when I see it, I'm like, I learned that as an airman basic and all the way through it. It doesn't stop. You don't go do a leadership class. Leadership is always taught and always continues throughout your career.
And going into that, and not to sidebar this so much.
No, let's sidebar. I'm all about leadership.
You know, bringing the military into law enforcement. When I went to the basic police officer academy here in Texas, I expected a little bit more discipline coming from the academy coordinators and the instructors, kind of like what I received in the military.
Right.
So the class voted me in of Sergeant of Arms. Our coordinator broke her leg in our first week of the 100th BPOA at the Tarrant County Police Academy. And she elected me, you're going to be our, and I freshly out of the Marines, you're going to be our physical fitness person. Right. And I need you to help me guide these people for discipline out of here on the parade deck. We're going to teach them how to march basic.
Right.
And we're going to do Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays of a good 2 hours of PT in the morning when we get here. Can you lead that? Yes, ma'am, I can. Can I do it to where they'll be successful? You're a Marine. I was never one. I'm sure you know a little bit about physical fitness. Let's do it. You go ahead and do it. First day I'm out there, and this is basic.
Right.
From stretching, get everybody ready, and now we're going to go on a little truffle shuffle. Well, there's a lake out there by that, and I didn't know you weren't supposed to like run around the lake. They like to kind of composed it to the parking lot or a little running track area that we had. But I saw this big, beautiful lake. And
let's go run there.
I was in my cadence, and we were going, and I'm teaching, and I only had 1 or 2 guys and gals that were in the military, and they were okay. It'd been some years since they've been in. I had some older guys in there, and they were doing good. And I'd always look back. We were running next to 820, which is a big highway here. Going towards the lake, there's a big kind of a dam, and we're running across the top of that dam. I started looking back, and this is a slow truffle shuffle run, okay? Half of my class is still coming around the corner.
Wow,
about a
falling
quarter
out.
or a half mile back, and I'm like,
wow.
So I teach them we have to run in circles because we're not going to leave somebody behind.
Right. Wagon wheel.
And then get them to run around the lake and do the different things. And about 90% of my class went to the coordinator once I left that day and said, that is pure military. We didn't sign up for the military. I don't know what that is, but all we have to do is run 1.5 miles for our test. This is ridiculous. But she allowed me, I dialed it back some, but she allowed me to keep that going through at the academy. And to this day, I have people from my class that still structure their lifestyles better based on what they learned from me. So that was a huge thing to me in that, but I only learned it in the Marine Corps. I didn't create it.
Yeah. When you think about like those things, those gems that you take from that whole academy experience that stay with you like for the rest of your life. Like, I mean, quite frankly, like I fold my underwear to this day. Like they taught me back in 1992. Like, if you go in my bag in my car, there's a can of kiwi in the bag that I travel with because of, when I break out my shoes, if they're not right, 30 plus years later, I got a can of kiwi in there. I'm going to square those things away.
And that's that instilled discipline that a very small percentage of our United States gets to experience.
Yeah.
And I will forever be grateful for what I went through, and I know you will be. Yeah. You will as well. I mean, it's something that carries you on.
The sad part is I'm still in, so I get to see.
That's not sad.
No. Well, it's sad because they don't have to shine their boots anymore. They don't have to iron their uniform. They don't. There's so many things that they don't have to do. The traditions and stuff that we knew are gone.
Right.
So to me, that's sad. Why is it sad? Not because I think you should have to do what I had to do because it sucked and we didn't want to do it.
Right.
It's because of the discipline behind it. Doing the hard thing in small doses versus having to fix some sort of huge mess because you neglected it for so long. That's kind of what I picked up from learning how to make your bed and do all that stuff. Yeah. And there is a lot to be said for the discipline to make your bed every morning.
Right.
And the way it gets my day going.
Yeah.
Versus when I don't do it. Because I notice, I'm like, I didn't make the bed.
It's that structure in your life that feels comfortable.
Yes.
The true building blocks of what takes you further into whatever you do, even if you get out of the Marine Corps and go work for Walmart, that structure that you learned is going to be there for whatever you do. And
holy cow.
Everything that I learned, because I still do it. I mean, when I worked for a municipal agency in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, we had the shinable boots that we wore. And it was almost every night while I was a law enforcement officer there, I would spit shine them.
Oh, God,
Just that discipline that I learned from the Marine Corps.
Yeah.
And like you're saying with the change, and I know we all experienced it in this profession, when these new generations come in, and I know this goes on for years. Everybody says the previous was better, and I'm sure, my father's generation, your father, everybody's was better, and we're less, and I get that. But when you actually get to physically see it in your profession, or somebody, and I'll give you an example and we can move on, is somebody now that comes to the police academy, and I don't care what state it's in, and they put all that money into that person, they invest all that time, and they were motivated. They may have gotten meritoriously promoted if they were in the military, or they were looked upon highly in police academy and maybe got a special unit early off because how much they applied themselves. And as soon as they get into something they don't like, they quit.
Wow.
I'm talking throwing in the towel. They're done. It doesn't equate in their head of what all was invested into them. And I've watched people get all the way through an FTO program, get released and get out, and get sent to a call that they were mad because they had to do we call doing paper on it,
right,
writing a report. And it just didn't fall within their thought process of they could have what we called 03'd or just call noted this call.
Right. Why
did they have to do it? You know what? This is not for me. I'm out. And they can just like quit that day and drop all their stuff on the desk and walk. And to me, that's a part of your lifestyle. Once you've gone that far, to watch people just toss it, that was tough pill for me to swallow. And it happened. It's happening every day.
I know. Like we have a saying, like, you know, sometimes you'll see every now and again, you'll see a little TFL, like on a tattoo or embroidered on somebody's shirt or something. You know, we call it trooper for life, you know, and that's, it's a lifestyle.
Yep.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah. I see it in society today, the level of respect for each other. And I'm not calling out any specific group of people at all on this. It's just overall, generationally, the level of respect has gone for each other has gone way down.
Right.
And we see it in law enforcement, especially. But then there's a lot of education that goes out that we're seeing from the law enforcement side where I'm like, well, we're screwing up too. This person got mad and felt disrespected because you just trampled their right. You're demanding ID.
Right.
You don't have a right to their ID.
Right.
And now you're upset and your ego's getting checked a little bit because they did something that people didn't used to do.
Right.
They said no.
Challenge you.
They challenged you back
right.
and said, no, I'm not giving you my ID. You go back to the early 80s, the 70s, nobody said that.
Right.
You played ball. But now people, because of the internet, people have a easy way to gain access to education. And they're learning their rights. They may focus on one right. They may focus, okay, I have a First Amendment right to record. I'm awesome.
Right.
You know,
it's their
that's
right.
cool. But that's where this, I think that's where this, you know, when we talk about disrespect towards law enforcement, I'm like, no, I don't really see that part of standing up for your rights as disrespect. I tell people, I like the fact that you make your protest known. Hey, I don't agree with this. I don't think you have a right to my ID. I'm going to do it under the threat of arrest if I don't.
Right.
And get that clarification. If I don't give you my ID, you're telling me you're going to arrest me.
Right.
Yes, I am. Okay, well, then here's my ID.
Right.
Now I've got all the ammo I need for court.
Yep.
So I think this level of, like I said, disrespect has went up because we just generationally, it just keeps degrading. I don't know why. I can't put one thing on it.
Yeah, I think a lot of times though, like it's all about people's skill, right? And like you meet people out on the street and it's just how you approach them, what you say, how you say it, sometimes so much more important about how you say something will either elevate or diffuse a tense situation, right? And so like, I'm from the era in policing where, you know, there were no in-car cameras, there were no body-worn cameras. And like, you could have a real one-on-one conversation with somebody on the side of the road. Like, and sometimes like a 2-minute tongue lashing about their driving habits and you know, hey, have good, you know, don't do this again, get out of the way. No summons, no warning, whatever. Just, you know, a quick critique of their driving skill, had a whole lot more impact than handing them 3 summonses.
Definitely.
Yeah. And so like the ability to like, you know, really kind of point out somebody's lack of driving skill very, very specifically, I think would go a long way. And I think we've kind of lost a little of that.
I agree. I think you're right. It's crazy to me with all the videos that we see of police screwing up, with citizens screwing up. I think that's where with the podcast, one of the things we're trying to do is this isn't a mutually exclusive issue. It isn't just citizens screwing up. It isn't just police screwing up. We're both screwing up on both sides.
Right.
But if we're not willing to come to the table and say, okay, and take a little ownership in what we're talking about, we're never going to fix any issues that we have.
Right.
And I blame this one specifically on social media is the ability to say things anonymously without any repercussions.
True.
And you see that occasionally. You see some of these YouTubers go out there, throw their mouth around like they do on the internet, and they pay the price.
Right.
It's socked in the mouth.
Right.
Shoot, the one dude got shot. Went out there, started pressing up on a guy. Guy told him to get back. This was like in a mall. I don't know if you guys remember that video. And
I do.
the guy backed him up, told him to get away from him. And the YouTuber just kept pressing towards him, acting stupid. And the guy just pulled out a little snub nose and shot him once in the stomach. And
Oh, wow.
got out of there. And he got self-defense.
Wow.
He got the claim for self-defense. When you watch the video, you're like, okay, I see why.
Wow.
And I blame social media. I think that, and kids, they blamed Mortal Kombat when we were kids for us being violent, or Ninja Turtles. But I do think there's a direct correlation in social skills with social media and not having to cure your boredness and some of the stuff that we've been talking about. I think they all correlate. And I think the military helped us a lot. I think it can help young people today, especially if they don't have the structure at home. And us as law enforcement, I think oftentimes when we deal with a problem teenager, a problem, young adult, there's a common factor, and there's no structure at the home.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I'll say, I don't have very many regrets in my life. I've had an amazing career. I've gotten to work with some truly, truly amazing people. The one thing I never really got to do was I never got to serve in the military. If I have a regret, it's probably that.
Yeah.
I looked at going into the military right out of high school, and 18 years old, had a girlfriend who quickly talked me out of going to the military. I wish I had just kind of pushed through and done it, because I think it would have been a good experience for me.
Well, I had to tell this to my own father. I told him, because that's one of his biggest regrets, that he never served. And I said, I can tell you from a person that's done both, I feel like I've served more as a cop than I had ever served, and probably ever would have served as a security forces member. No knock to security forces. It's just in what we do, we keep the base secure.
Yep.
Some of us go out and, sweep some sort of paths and stuff like that. Yep. Yeah, there are odds that you could get, into some sort of combat if that's how you view service, if that's how you view that you served. But I've never felt like I've served people more than as a cop, a street cop especially. Right. Yeah. And I've got some good wins as a detective. I've got some great things that I've helped out with as a sergeant. And I'll probably say that I feel like I've served a lot more now as a sergeant as well.
Now you got a lot more responsibility.
Right. And I got the ability to teach, and I've got the ability to make a impact on the community, either whether it is through complaints or it is through an enforcement action, because I don't have to do the work they're doing. Right. I get to sit back, supervise, but fill in the gaps that I see.
Right.
And filling in those gaps is part of the fun of being a supervisor.
Absolutely. And I hear a lot of people say what you just said. I've been blessed to meet so many people around the globe. And when guys like you say that, I've got to step back and say, but look how you present yourself. Look at the accomplishments that you've done in life. It means a lot. That means a lot to me that you obviously were raised correctly. It speaks a lot on being raised, and for what the State Trooper Academy did for you. Because in a sense, you may not be serving in the U.S. military, but you're still serving the people.
Yeah.
And when you get to go do that and go through an outstanding program that brought you the leadership, taught you about ethics, teaches you how to teach others and the way you do and how you present yourself. So I don't think you lost anything by not serving, but you just got to serve in another capacity.
Thank you. I
appreciate that. It's just as important. So it's, people can say, and I totally understand what you say. And that's almost why I so quickly jumped to the Marines, is like, gosh, I'm not prepared for college. I better do something so I don't look like some wise guy out here, and I need to friggin' straighten myself up.
You square yourself away.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that's the way I did it. But no, I think the way your life unfolded is definitely not a negative.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
And I look at and for me as a state trooper, one of the things that makes me so proud to be a state trooper, New Jersey State Trooper, is I look at how New Jersey State Police still functions today. If you go on New Jersey State Police social media, you'll see Colonel Pat Callahan doing a run with an academy class that's about to graduate. He's the leader of the organization. He's out there doing PT with them on the beach, and he's setting that example. It's an awesome example of leadership. right? Leadership by example. And like, that makes me really proud to see my organization still focused in that way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now you did Intel.
I did.
Before we go from Intel, because you probably had another range that you did at the Troopers. So you did Intel for how long?
Wow. So 5 years, essentially 5 years in uniform on the road. My last assignment on the road was the New Jersey Turnpike. Have you ever driven on a New Jersey Turnpike?
No.
It's a city on wheels, brother.
I've heard.
Yeah. And so like literally in some parts, like the New Jersey Turnpike is 16 lanes across.
Holy cow.
Yeah. And so like, it's like a whole city on wheels. And it never ceased to amaze me. Like you're patrolling the highways of New Jersey, but like it never ceased to amaze me, like how many people were coming out there just to commit crime, or, like just every day was like an absolute adventure. You never knew who you were going to run into, whether that's people moving drugs or guns or money up and down the turnpike, or it's people who come out there and now they're in the service area. Now there's a Donnybrook in the service area. So it was a busy assignment.
Okay.
Right.
Some of these folks aren't from the North. I know what you're talking about. I play a lot of hockey growing up.
Right.
Tell them what a Donnybrook is.
Oh dear God. A Donnybrook is like, well, it's a public fight. It's like, it's a fight you don't have to be invited to. It's like a fight anybody can join, right? What's that old saying from The Quiet Man? Is this a private fight or can I get involved? Right?
Yeah.
Right. And so everybody's just able to jump in. So So
if you're a fan of Letterkenny, anybody out there, Letterkenny will teach you what a Donnybrook is as well.
Go.
So
yeah. So good times. But I mean, like, when I worked on a turnpike, like, I mean, it was a busy place to work. But I think like, it really kind of helped me sharpen my skills in how to deal with people, how to communicate, like, how to understand very quickly, like this person is just a normal person trying to get to work every day. Maybe they went a little too fast, right? Hey, do me a favor, slow down a little bit. This is a person that if I'm not really careful, this person could take my life. And so you very quickly, you learn how to talk to people, how to assess your situations very quickly, which helps you actually be a better detective.
yes.
Yeah.
Now, what I want to know is
what do you
because Intel has the potential for some of the best cases.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, if you guys are listening, Intel to me is the top dog. It's actually where I'm at now. I'm in a part of tactical intelligence.
Right.
Like that's what I do with the real-time crime center stuff.
Right.
You are a part of all of the big things that happen.
Yeah.
I mean, all the major cases, you're a part of that in some form or fashion. So in that, top victory.
Wow. That's really, really, really hard. But let me take a stab.
Most interesting top victory.
So I think, so I think the one that I'm probably most proud of is because of the way it came about is we did a pretty big case on a guy by the name of Eddie. Well, they went by Eddie the Irishman, right? Eddie Fisher. Actually, you can look him up online. You'll find information about Eddie Fisher online. I'm really proud of that investigation and that whole case. So Eddie Fisher was lived in Staten Island. He was what we refer to as like an earner, like could make money through, he whether it be loan sharking, whether it be gambling, whether it be whatever, like he could make money for organized crime. Now he's not Italian. He doesn't have the roots that go all the way back to Italy. So he can't be like a made man. Can't be a made guy like in an organized crime family, but like the information we had, this is going back a ways. Now you think about like Paul Castellano, right? Paul Castellano is the head of the Gambino crime family until John Gotti took him out. Like Paul Castellano took such a liking to Eddie Fisher that like he kind of brought him into the family and he kind of told everybody like, hey, he's one of us. Like he's not one of us, but he's one of us because he was such a great earner. So he had a lot of status. One of the funny things that we were working with the district attorney's office over in Staten Island and we're talking about this guy and he's like, oh yeah, like interesting story about this guy. Like he ran into somebody who allegedly owed him some money. They both go down an alley and and now short time later, Eddie comes out and the guy's dead in the alley, right? Eddie Fisher's story is like, oh yeah, he saw me. He knew that he owed me money. He ran into the alley, took out his gun, and shot himself in the head. Well, you look at the picture, like shot him like right, like the bullet hole's like right here,
straight head.
But they never indicted him. So I guess maybe that's what happened. But like, yeah, he was an interesting cat. So everybody was interested in this particular guy because like he was an earner for the Gambino crime family. the way that case started, right, was literally we got a memo from the local prosecutor's office. They had talked to this guy Eddie, and Eddie had like said like, hey, there's this whole, organized crime scheme going on like in Monmouth County, and he's explaining how like there's gambling and there's loan sharking and there's people involved. There's people who are potentially at risk because they're not paying their loan shark debts, and now they're at risk of being injured, they're being threatened. And so me and my partner at the time, Bobby Collins, like, we get the memo, we read it, we're like, hey, there's not a lot here, but this is really interesting. Let's dig into this a little bit more. And so we do a follow-up interview. And so like we get a little more information, and now we start to verify some. And again, back then, like this is all manual. Like as you're debriefing a potential source and they're telling you things about people, it's so hard to find out information. Who's Eddie? Who's this other guy, Kenny? Like it's really, really hard. Very manual processes, systems just not very effective. So we do our first couple interviews, and then like sure enough, we identify a guy who's really he's in big trouble. And I'll call him Ishmael. What is that, right? Yeah. Call me Ishmael.
Yeah.
Right? So I'll call him Ishmael. So Ishmael, right, he was a bad gambler, like a bad gambler. And like, if you've ever met anybody who's really like addicted to gambling, it's a very, very sad disease, right? If you're addicted to gambling, like it's really, really, really hard. And I feel sorry for those people because like they just can't help themselves. And if you're a bad gambler and you bet on things like football, like you could have an awesome weekend and you could be up 20 grand. And then 2 weekends later, you can be down
50,
30, 40, 50 grand. And in your mind, like you have a sickness, like gambling is a sickness if you're addicted to it. And like in your mind, like the only way that you can get that money back and you can get square again is to keep on gambling. And so like now you're doing whatever you can do to keep, to not get shut off. Like you want to make sure that like you can still place bets on a weekend and you're trying to catch up the whole time. It's cyclical. It's so sad. It's really a disease. So Ishmael is really, really, really in the hole. Like he is in the hole. And we're starting to hear that like there's a person who's coming over from New York who is going to now like, he's very frustrated with him. He's very frustrated that he's not making his payments. And I don't know, but for your audience, like, I don't know how they didn't know how like loan shark payments work. Like, so like you borrow money for a loan shark. And in his case, of Ishmael's case, like he borrowed money so he could pay off enough of his gambling debt so he could keep gambling, right? Crazy as it is. And now like whatever he borrowed, he's got to pay interest every week. And typically between 3 and 4 points, so maybe like 208% interest every week on the money that he borrowed until he can give him back a lump sum of the money he borrowed, right? So, say like, if he's borrowing like $10,000, like he's got to pay every week on the $10,000 until he can give him that money back. So it quickly escalates. So you miss payments, that gets tacked onto your lump sum. And so like next thing you know, they're literally paying thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars every week, and they're never getting any headway. So that's how like a lot of organized crime organizations make a lot of money, is through gambling and loan sharking.
Okay.
Clear? Cool. So our guy Ishmael, like he's very, very, he's in a bad spot. But he knows he's got to make some payments. So we meet Ishmael, we have a conversation, and like everybody, like, we get him in the back of the van, we have a conversation, like we know everything that's going on. Like we've done our homework, we know who he owes money to, what's going to happen to him, lies. He just, all he wants to do is he wants to lie enough so he can get out of the van and be on his merry way, thinking that, dodge that bullet, right? Let him go. 2 weeks later, we're like, oh, it's getting really serious now. We're talking to somebody else who's like, Ishmael's in real trouble now, right? So now 2 weeks later, we go by, and I used to have like one of those Dodge Caravans. It was the greatest undercover vehicle ever. Like everybody wanted like the Chrysler 300 or like the Challenger. Dodge Caravan, baby. Like
yeah.
Nobody ever made me as a cop. And I used to take out the middle seat. So like you had the front seats and the back seat. So like literally like we'd scoop, go up on a, pull up to him on the side of the road, open the door, get in and take him for a little ride. And so like 2 weeks later, we go back, you lied to me about this, you lied to me about that, you know, like, and you learn about interview and interrogation. Like when you confront people, like, you know, you tell them like they figure out you actually do know the truth. That's when they'll finally, and like he leans forward, he's like, if I don't pay him $2,000 by Thursday, they're going to break my legs. Okay. Now we're starting to have a conversation.
Yeah.
Right. And so now we start working with Ishmael, and like now we're making payments, and we're recording his conversations, and now we're collecting evidence. We're doing all of these things. And now like it's starting to blossom. It's starting to bloom. And now we're starting to understand it's not just him, right? It's all of these people. And in this particular investigation, all of them were car dealers. I don't know what it was about that time, but it like seemed like everybody that was kind of in this little network who was, you know, a loan shark victim, they were all car dealers. And so like, oh, you think I'm bad? This guy's like, he's really bad shape. And I remember there was this one female car dealer who was kind of like, she had been like the go-between for all these people. She was, you know, picking up payments for folks and bringing them over to the loan shark. And she knew everybody. And like, she kept moving. Like, it just seemed like she was like a ghost. Like I'd show up at a house she had just been at, and like, I'm picking through trash. Right. And like, now I got a bill or I got something that says, and I would just, so I kept missing her. Like I'm going from house to house to house for like weeks and months trying to find this one female. Right. And then finally we tracked her down. Right. Again, like very, very manual process back then. Track her down, grab her and interview her. She gives up like the whole thing. And so now from a memo of somebody saying this whole thing is going on, good, solid police work, hard, rolling up the sleeves, getting out, talking to people. We now have like a whole network of people who are victims that now we're recording conversations. And now like we're to the point where like we can do like a high level conspiracy case on our two defendants over in Staten Island. And I'll never forget, like, we set up like a rip. So we're going to bring our guy over. Kenny's going to come over. He thinks he's going to get a loan shark payment from one of our, cooperators. And he pulls into the service area there on the Garden State Parkway. It's a beautiful spring day. He's got the Lincoln Continental with the sunroof open, and he pulls up and he meets our guy, and now we're we're going to take it down. Right. So we run over, place him under arrest, put him in a troop car. Now somebody's got to drive his car from the service area to the station on the Parkway, 10 or 15 minute drive. And I'm like, oh, I got the car. I'll drive it down.
What's he driving?
I got a Lincoln Continental, all decked out. He's got like he's got like the sunroof open. It's a beautiful spring day. Get the keys. I get in. I fire it up. Right. I got the Tony Bennett playing on the radio as soon as I turn the key on. And now I am just cruising down the Parkway for about 10 minutes, feeling like a king, taking his car down there to have it be impounded. So yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
I love it.
It ended up being like a really, really successful case. Like a number of agencies have been trying to, put a case against Eddie Fisher for a long, long time. We ended up getting like a 2nd-degree conspiracy case against him. So what I think I'm like most proud about there is like from just a little fragmentary piece of information, hard work, diligence, perseverance, just working the network, figuring out who's connected to who. Like that's how that whole case came together.
Did you have a big corkboard with yarn going from person to person?
Get out of my head, Eric Levine. Yeah, I mean, like literally stacks and stacks of paper, NCIC printouts, like DMV printouts. Like, I got a folder. It's like the size of 5 phone books stacked on each other. Yeah.
I tell people, man, a beat book. Officers don't know nothing about a beat book anymore. And then using the old, connection system with the yarn. Yeah. That's stuff that we don't have to do anymore because we can keep it all right here.
Yeah.
Then what it took to transfer all that paper data that we had into a narrative and all the supplements.
Oh yeah.
As the investigation went forward, just like Eric said, I mean, the availability now that detectives have and officers have now in this tech world today.
Yeah.
It makes me always wonder, working for a large tech company myself now, is a week in the life of no internet, no connectivity, where do our investigations go? Right. With these young detectives out there, where can they go to square one? Can we go back to the old days for a week? Yeah. Because we've got, think about it. I mean, just because they were never probably introduced to that.
Yeah, they didn't need to.
No.
It's never been a problem.
So back then, I mean, this is going back a few years. So like I went into intelligence section in 1998. Back then, we didn't have the internet. but we had Danny Cortez. And so like Danny Cortez was like one of the greatest mentors in my state police career. Love him. Like he was a sergeant at the time. And Danny, like I feel so fortunate that when I came out of uniform and I became a detective, I got to work with Danny because like he taught me like the basics of being a good cop and the fundamentals that like really helped me, be successful. And he used to be like, he had that, like he was from Jersey City, he had that Jersey City, like Lenny, like, a good cop can't always know the answer, but a good cop is going to know who to call. And when he makes the call, the person on the other end is going to pick up the phone because he's happy to hear from him. He's like, your reputation is everything. Treat it like gold. And so, like, I feel so fortunate to have the opportunity to work with people like, Eddie Quirk, Mark Doyle, Danny, like, just like they taught me how to be a good detective and how to be a good cop. And again, like we didn't have the internet, but like I could come back from a surveillance and I've taken a bunch of pictures of some guys hanging out by a social club. And Danny was one of those people who could be like, all right, that's Charlie Stango, that's Frank Tango, that, like he could just
he remembers everybody.
He knew everybody. He knew everybody.
He had a Rolodex in his head.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
And he knew their criminal histories and he knew their associations.
Knew the associations. He knew why they were sitting there on the corner. Like if those two guys are on the corner, they don't like each other. If they're there together, they're doing something. There's some kind of business going on because they can't stand each other.
He was the manual guy that created the relevance map.
Oh, absolutely.
And he could do everything on a piece of paper that we could do with a couple clicks.
Yeah.
But that guy could draw it up right there and it'd be accurate.
Yeah. He was amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. It does make me wonder what cops would do if they didn't have tech.
Mm-hmm.
Like how many of them could figure it out? I'm sure a lot of them could. I think a lot understand how the tech's putting the pieces together for them. But the question I have is like, will you be able to do it when it's crunch time?
Right.
Like, will you be able to go out there and scour? Like, go door to door.
That's a big thing.
Door to door is a big one. Like, I remember doing that, and it would be so valuable. Even when the tech was there, I'd still do it. I'd still go out, and they're like, "What are you going out for?" I'm like, "You never know who saw something." Well, we checked for Ring doorbells. None of them had any. I'm like, you got to talk to people.
Right.
People see stuff. Well, if it ain't on video, it doesn't happen. That's another thing that we got to start worrying about in policing.
So like, and here's like, this is the thing in Albuquerque that just paid such dividends for us. Like, so now body worn camera, right? I mean, we could talk about body worn camera, all different perspectives on body worn camera. I'll give you like one example where it really made a lot of sense for us. And so like, being able to integrate body worn camera and being able to tie that to an investigation or a case. So like, and I don't know how every department is. So I know like a lot of times, like we'd go out to like a critical incident, like a shooting or somebody got stabbed. Right. And the officers are out there, like they're doing the best job that they can. Like they're going and they're talking to 4 or 5 people. Right. And they're trying their best to record everything that they can in a sup report of, 4 or 5 interviews of people in the neighborhood canvas. They can't get it all. Like they do their best, or the person that they're talking to says a name or a nickname that doesn't really make sense to the reporting officer, and maybe it doesn't make it into the report, but now like you got the body worn camera.
Yeah.
Right. Now the analyst goes back and like they listen to the body worn camera from that sup report, and they hear like a name or a nickname or something that makes a whole lot more sense to that, violent crime analyst or that gang analyst or whoever. It makes a whole lot more sense to them than the reporting officer. Now we're out of the gate, and now we're up and running with an investigative leak. Oh, they sprayed the house because Pookie's mad or whatever, and now like we have now because we're able to get that information in, like we can make maximum benefit of it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely. All righty, brother.
Yeah.
I want to move on from Intel days. I like the good stories. Those are always fun.
You want to hear about the 300-pound guy that disappeared?
Well, now that we've put it that way.
So, my friends at the FBI, and I was very fortunate. Like I was assigned to the FBI for 8.5 years working on a JTTF. But before that, when I was working organized crime, the running joke is like, we had a case on a guy in a Bonanno Capo in again, Monmouth County, New Jersey, Frankie Copa, right? I'll tell a little bit about the case, but like, the thing about the case is like, as we're getting ready to take it down, like Frankie Copa just disappears. Right. He's nowhere to be found. Like we've got all of his phones like tapped. And then all of a sudden, like nobody can find Frankie. Nobody's heard from Frankie. Nobody has seen Frankie. Nobody knows where Frankie is. And then lo and behold, we find out that Frankie is now in witness protection. So the running joke there was only the feds could make a 300-pound man disappear.
I was thinking he was swimming with the fishes, but he made it. He lived.
Yeah.
Good for him. Now, you did Intel, and then you jumped over to Albuquerque. I want to move over to Albuquerque. So,
Sure.
you did your career, and you decided 25 years wasn't enough punishment?
So like, again, like a lot of people our ages, like 9/11's the event that changed my life and my career forever. Again, literally, I was working the case on Frankie Copa on September 10th, and then next day, 9/11 happens. I went to the JTTF, and I was there. I stayed for 8.5 years. I had a tremendous opportunities working on JTTF. Got to work with the intelligence community. Again, one of my regrets never being part of the U.S. military. I got to spend a little time working with JSOC. I got to work with a group called Siege Sotofe in Afghanistan. So I'm really, really proud of that work. Did that for about 8.5 years, and was like, I came away like from that experience, just like I learned how to use information much more effectively. And like, that was really a great learning experience, working with all those great people. And I did my last 8.5 years running the Fusion Center in New Jersey. So I ran the Regional Operations Intelligence Center for about 8 years, got to build 2 real-time crime centers when I was there. It's pretty cool.
Can you explain to people what a Fusion Center is, and then what the difference between Fusion and real-time?
Oh, absolutely. So like, Fusion Center, there's a Fusion Center network across the country, and like there's this saying that's it's a little cliche, but we still kind of say it's like, you've seen one Fusion Center, you've seen one Fusion Center. And that's just simply to say that like Fusion Centers are configurable to an individual state or area's needs. So you can have statewide Fusion Centers. In our case, New Jersey, Regional Operations Intelligence Center service the entire state of New Jersey. You could have specific area Fusion Centers. I think there's a Fusion Center specific to like Fort Worth, the Dallas-Fort Worth area. There's a statewide Fusion Center in Texas. But really, like, Fusion Centers exist to help us better understand crime trends, like what are the things we need to be prepared for, whether that is a violent crime trend, a property crime trend. It could be, our case, like we work really closely with our partners in emergency management. It could be like a special event. How do we manage a special event? I'm a Super Bowl 48 survivor. I ran the Intel subcommittee for Super Bowl 48. I call that the year of my life I'm never getting back. But so Fusion Centers really kind of exist to help you make better decisions. And then like when you take a look at like, think very strategic, like they can provide really great support to investigations, but really understanding where crime is trending and threats are trending. Now you take a look at like a real-time crime center.
Well, before we move farther,
what do you got?
With Fusion Centers, correct me if I'm wrong, but you're talking to places like Homeland, FBI, all of these 3-letter agencies.
Multi-agency.
That's who you're connecting to through Fusion, usually as a post-operation, post-investigation, here's intel type of situation.
So ours was a little different.
Okay.
Right. And so 26, by the time I left in 2018, 26 partner agencies, including FBI, DHS, INA, Federal Air Marshals. Like I literally had their personnel assigned to and embedded in my Fusion Center.
Right.
Yeah. So like literally like you could go down the hall in my Fusion Center and like you'd have a whole area where that was a specific area for like our federal partners to be at, where they had access to their information. So like we could share information very quickly.
That's how mine runs. Yeah.
And so like, and the whole goal there is to like bring in all the partners that help you do your job a whole lot better. Really successful concept.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Now real-time crime centers.
Yeah, great. And they're awesome as well, just in a slightly different way. Right. And so like when you think about like real-time crime centers, like we're Fusion Centers tend to be a little more strategic, right? And providing information on like trends and things, or maybe some very specific case support, right? As events are happening in your jurisdiction, like a major protest that now like it's block traffic, like you need to respond to that very quickly. A priority 1 call for service, a shooting, a critical incident, whatever it is, like your real-time crime center, if you construct them right, can be really well positioned to provide those responding officers the information they need to do their job better. And like you think about like some of the, like the more simple things, they're just the basic things, but like can be really high impact, right? If I'm going to go out to a residence, right, that we've been to 5 times before. Now I'm an officer who's heading out to that residence because there's somebody in distress, right? They've put in a call for service. Maybe it's somebody's being injured at that residence. We've been there 5 times before. Wouldn't it be nice to know that like the last 5 times we were there, we encountered a person who really maybe has like behavioral health issues, And now like there's a way to respond to that effectively. And there's a way to like use, specialized training, maybe as a CIT or a coast person to like diffuse that situation much more effectively. Or maybe I'm going to go to a location and the last 2 times we were there, somebody squirted out the back, right? And now we have to go find them. And now we're doing a neighborhood search for a person. Like real-time crime centers can be like incredibly helpful in providing that vital information to responding officers so they can do their jobs much more effectively.
Right. That's one of the ways I like to put it to people is that the real-time crime center's main function is to support officers on the ground in real time and not with your basic dispatcher information. That's not what we're referring to. This is not a knock on dispatchers by any means, but dispatchers have a certain role with certain information that they get out there.
Right.
With real-time crime centers, it's more detailed information through the eyes of law enforcement.
Right.
Whether that be, hey, this car that's running from you, I'm going to, in real time, run that plate, put it through our LPR system, see where that car is trending. Where does it go the most? Right. And then be able to say, oh, he's probably going to his baby mama's house, which is over here, because that's where we've seen this car go a lot, and he's headed that direction. So being able to jump ahead and get that information to those officers on the ground in real time. Right. And this is where I get in arguments with other departments. Like, yeah, we got a real-time crime center. I'm like, oh, you do? That's awesome, man. Like, what are you guys doing? They're like, oh, we just we help the detectives out, when they got cases and stuff like that, or, a call will happen and we'll look up some information to see if we can't, backtrack later on and identify the person. I'm like, that's not real time. That's post-investigation. Like,
right. It's technically a historical center.
Yes, you're a pastime crime center.
Yes. It can be both.
It can be both,
right.
But that's what I'm saying. That's the difference between a real-time crime center is they are active. They are proactive, in my opinion. They are proactively. If there is not an officer requesting their help, they're looking at the CAD information and they're saying, all right, here's a call that just popped out. How can I help? All right, who's the caller? Who's 100%. Who's the suspect name? Let me see what information I can find out on them.
Suspect description.
Yeah.
Let me jam on that.
Yeah, they are actively looking before anybody's even assigned that call. And then the moment that call's assigned, there's probably already information on the sheet from the real-time crime center and says, here's a picture of your possible suspect. Here's a picture of your caller. Here's, the vehicles that are registered to that location, and just got all this information for that officer so that he doesn't have to worry about it.
Right.
And that's just one aspect that we're talking about.
100%.
And the first time I got to see a real-time crime center in operation was out in the West, out in Arizona. And
Mesa?
Old Scottsdale.
Scottsdale.
Scottsdale's got it going on.
A person or two in Scottsdale.
With this job, I go out there quite a bit. And we were in there for 15 minutes, and the gentleman that's running the scene is basically explaining, you may see something, you may not. And I believe that specific crime center that we were in were a civilian-run staff, which was different, a little bit different, than
I've seen them both
areas.
Yeah.
So, but what happened was I had my team in there and one of our reseller organizations in there, and we were kind of just bearing witness to what goes on. And with my law enforcement experience, watching these professionals work, when a call came out, and basically a tier 1 or priority 1 call came out, it was a shooting. Okay, that's what it came in. Not many details, but they were able to pin down an address. Within 11 minutes of the first officer arriving on scene, drones were on scene in seconds. Right. I mean, to watch this thing launch and to see everything in live, the real time happening in front of me, wishing that I would have had this my entire law enforcement career. Right. But 11 minutes after that first patrol officer on scene, they already rolled an asset in. We had a Bearcat on scene with an entire team. And I was blown away because the last agency that I worked at, it took me an hour and a half to get another deputy to me.
Wow.
On a stolen car in 2024.
Wow.
That was, so I'm watching this. Now, I came from a larger agency, so I was used to the municipality stuff, but then going to the county setting in the middle of nowhere, we call it BFE, out there trying to work with no radio signals. And then going out there and watching all these assets and teams come together and how fast it was to diffuse that situation. I guarantee you in 10 years, how's a large city going to operate without a real-time crime center and be successful in law enforcement? We've evolved so much just in the past 6 years, looking back at the history of these things, of how much it's helped.
Yes.
It's amazing.
Yep. And I think as long as we keep doing our due diligence to keep the checks and balances to make sure police don't overstep, because it's a very powerful tool.
Oh, yeah.
So that's one of the things that I'm constantly, that's why I get myself so involved with this side of the house, is I want to make sure that when we have a fun toy and it's helping keep people safe, that we don't overstep and you're not checking in on your ex's new boyfriend and doing crap like that. And the one thing to help keep people's worries at bay that I can tell you from my experience is every single thing is logged.
Yep. 100%.
There is not a step that can be taken without that person being tracked for logging, and it has to be that way.
I'll do you one better. Like, and I always recommend to people who are standing up a real-time crime center is like, have an auditing function, right?
Yes.
Take the time as a supervisor to go back and look at a set number of calls, pull them by random or pull them by, call type, and go and do just like a good, healthy review. One, it's a great accountability measure, right? Like, you can point to a process that you have that says, I proactively go in, review the work that goes on in my real-time crime center. I get a better sense for, like, is it in compliant with policy? Is it compliant with best practice? So I have a process that I do myself to make sure I'm in compliance with policy. But two, when you identify gaps, you identify things that were done wrong or could have been done better. Great material for your next, round of training that you have to do or you should do. Great opportunity to say, like, look, what we did in this situation is awesome. We need to do more of this. Or like, in what we did in this situation, we could have done better, and here's how we could have done it. So like, you can save yourself so much pain, and you could be such a more effective, real-time crime center. Just do a little self-audit.
Yeah, absolutely.
So with 3 current and former law enforcement officers that we have in here, from all parts of the country, Eric working in a different state as well before he came here. Yeah. You being in the Northeast and then down in New Mexico, you're going to see different versions of us too, is the mental health care. And I'm coming back to the real-time crime center on this, is they handle mental health for peace officers or law enforcement differently around the country. Oh, for sometimes better, sometimes worse. Yep. And my 21 years in law enforcement, I watched it go from absolutely horrible to it's the non-spoken. You don't ask for the help, and by golly, you keep it up here. Right? Yeah, you're okay. Go home and talk to your wife about it. You're fine. You're fine. Compress. To where it's never been perfect. I've never seen it perfect. They're trying to get better in some instances.
Thank God.
But going from what it was in the Northeast or where it is down here in Texas or out in New Mexico, Arizona, wherever, we have to think about this new technology coming out in the real-time crime centers, what these officers and civilians are witnessing, to bear witness, even though it's on a computer screen, is, are we going to look at this in 5 years and make sure that we have steps in place? And I know a lot of them do, and they're already identifying and targeting that, but we got to make sure that that is there, because even though they're not on scene per se, but some of these crime centers now are able to hear the 911 call. They're living the entire call virtually in a virtual center. And it's just, I want to make sure that all of our states are going to start taking care of them just like they would the officer on the scene that needs that help, because sometimes the people in the real-time crime center are getting exposed more to it.
Well, there's just such a high tempo of it. It's call after call after call after call. You're 100% right. And we need to be thinking through, what are our people exposed to day after day, 8, 10, 12 hours a day, right? Day after day. Where's the relief valve for them? Yep. Right. Do we have a program in place where they feel comfortable saying, I just did the last 3 calls in the last 2 hours, and I'm just I need to go take a knee for a minute. I need to go get a cup of coffee. I just need to take a little break. We need to make sure that we're giving those people the opportunity to either self-report or, feel comfortable in saying hey, I just need to take a little bit of a break.
Yep. Yeah. Yep. It's a little different watching a violent movie versus watching real life unfold in front of you, either on the scene, virtually, eye in the sky, whatever it is. And we just got to make sure that we take care of that. And I love just speaking on mental health, so I like to bring that in. And I love that you have the same feelings on that.
We think about it, if in a typical shift, if an RTCC is handling, let's say 5 priority 1 calls that are really, quite, difficult. You've got officers at all those calls, right? And they're all handling each, critical incident. Your real-time crime center is handling all of them, right? Yep. The individual officers are at it maybe 1 or maybe 2, but your RTCC people are seeing them all.
Yeah. And now we can tap into their body cameras and watch that live. Yeah. So now you've got,
first person view
that could, for those listening, real-time crime centers can be made up of law enforcement, can be made up of civilian, can be made what we call hybrid, which is all of the above. And they all have the view that they can watch through your body cam, through your dash cam, through Air One, through a drone. So it's a little different than dispatch, which also hears tragedies over the phone. They hear it,
right?
But now we're adding the element of visual
Right.
into that. So you combine those two things, it amplifies it. It's not just hearing it now. It's your seeing. And I could even argue that hearing it sometimes may be worse.
Sure.
Because if you're just hearing it, now your imagination takes over.
Right.
So if you have a worse of imagination, who knows what.
And the dispatcher stuff hits really home to me. My wife was a dispatcher for years.
Right.
And she was the dispatch supervisor for a large city here for a long time. And she did which a lot of agencies do, and that's the EMD, emergency medical dispatch. So not only is she hearing the struggle going on the other end,
right,
now she's tabbing through an EMD book and giving life-saving instructions.
Wow.
And then for everyone that doesn't make it, you know what I'm saying? They have a tier of responsibility of what happened there, the vicarious liability, what they have to take home.
Right.
And for my wife coming home to speak to her police officer husband about, and we had a good relationship exchange, and it helped us throughout all those years to be able to decompress with each other. But then you have to look at are the agencies providing that as well?
Yeah.
It's just as important for the ones that are listening, the auditory of it. It's so important.
Yep.
I got a good thing I just want to talk about here for a second, like on officer wellness. Cause again, we're talking about like all the technology and being able to pull this in, like being exposed to it. I'm going to go the other way on this one just a second. So like we were talking with an agency about like their process for officer wellness. Right. And so that at the time, like their process was they had a set like specific calls that they would be screening for through their CAD. And it'd be like, okay, if we have this particular type of call, and it's the high impact calls that you would think of, like a stabbing, a shooting, whatever, like every day they'd come in the morning, they would go through their CAD and they say, we had 5 calls that met this criteria. Let's reach out to those officers and have a conversation and do like a proactive wellness check to make sure they're okay, which is awesome. Right? I mean, that's really what you want to do. You want to be proactive. And so we kind of took that to the next step and we're like, hey, that's an awesome idea. Like, let's make sure we're reaching out to the officer and kind of checking in, seeing we're okay. You're going off CAD notes. And like, I'm sure your wife speaks CAD, right? So she she understands CAD notes, but not everybody understands CAD notes, and not everything about the call is in the CAD notes. So before you pick up that phone and you call the officer to see how they're doing, well, there's a piece of body worn camera that's probably tied to that CAD call. How about I just go back and I pull that piece of body worn camera and I take a quick look at that. Let's see how that incident unfolded from the officer's eyes. So when I do that proactive outreach to that officer to make sure they're okay, I can reference certain things that I saw through the officer's eyes. I think it's a really good way to identify areas where we need to be proactive and then arming those people with the right information so they can have like a really impactful outreach. What do you guys think about that?
I think
absolutely. And then to capitalize on that, the ripple effect.
Yeah.
The guys and gals are being the ones that are being proactive and going out.
Yeah.
They have just now bear witness to everything.
Yeah.
And they're the ones that are going out. And so years go by. Is that captain their boss? Are they coming at them? Hey, you just did this for 6 months. You took care of all these guys and gals from dispatch to the crime center to the officers on the street. How the hell are you doing?
Yeah.
Because you may have not been on scene, but you just bear witness to everything through what a jury would see or whatnot, and you're going to be exposed to that. Yeah. So we got to it's that ripple effect, right? So it's
cumulative. Well, I mean, sometimes it can be acute, but a lot of times it's just cumulative. Right.
Yeah. Cumulative trauma. Cumulative trauma. There we go. That is the thing.
And I can rabbit hole all day on that, and I apologize for taking us down all those channels.
No, I appreciate it. Yeah. I mean, like you're hitting all the topics I love to talk about: officer wellness, leadership. Like these are technology. Like these have been core aspects of my career.
Yeah, and educational note, if those were wondering, when we're saying CAD notes, we're talking about what an officer sees on his computer screen from dispatch or from other officers or whatever. When they're in their car, they'll see on their computer screen what the call details are. And those call details, they don't look like normal English that you and I would text back and forth to each other. It is, CP states, but it'll say the letters CP. And they're meaning complainant. States, and states is STS. doesn't say states. So you start to learn CAD talk, as you say.
It's its own language.
Yeah, it is. It's its own language, and you just kind of figure it out as you go. And I don't really think there's anybody that teaches it.
Nope.
I just think that's how it's always been, and you learn it as you go.
Usually your FTO that says, "Hey, dumbass, this is what that means right there."
Yeah.
That's how you learn it.
And it's a combination of radio codes, right? And it's a combination of abbreviations wherever they can save time while they're typing to get the CAD notes in, because like a dispatcher is multitasking
Big time.
all day long for their entire shift. So they're trying to figure out ways to get information in quickly.
Yeah. So like if you see something that says BMF, like 2 people or whatever, like that's not bad motherfucker. That's not what that means. That's black male and female. And then where you have AF, that doesn't mean...
Unless you're watching Pulp Fiction and you're pulling the wallet out.
Yes, yeah. And if you see AF, it doesn't stand for, what is it, as fuck or whatever they say, whatever they're saying out there.
In Mexico, as fuck.
Yeah. It's
it means Royale with cheese.
Yeah, Royale with cheese. Yeah. So it's funny when you get so used to that language, and then you kind of reflect back and you're like, how did I learn that? Nobody taught me that.
Yeah.
And how far does it stick? And I can speak on this. I don't know your spouse is your better half on what she did, but like when I got here to Eric's house, our code at the time when we worked together, when she worked at our dispatch center, was I'm 23 on scene.
On scene.
I'm 23 Eric's.
Yeah.
10-4.
Yeah.
That's how we're texting each other because we're so used to doing
56.
it.
56.
And we down here was a 54. We're going to go meet somewhere.
Exactly.
It's different all over the country, but it's funny how long it stays with you.
Yep. I'm a plain language guy. I try not to use a whole lot of codes, but there's just some that just won't leave you.
Nope.
You hear somebody over there, oh, he 12'd out. Oh, dang.
Word.
All right. Yeah. Word. Yeah, that's mine. I say that all the time. Word. All right. I get people all the time. Let me guess word. I'm like, yeah. So if you're wondering what we're talking about, when I text people, like if I'm confirming, if I understand, if I'm happy, word.
Sad.
Yeah.
That or Raj.
Yeah. So I'll say word. That's just, I don't know. I've had that habit for a long time.
Stick on codes for 1 second. I'm just going to give you my municipality and then go into BFE, working in the county.
Yep.
I came from the municipality down in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, and just like Eric was stating, if you heard Signal 12 on the radio, it means the heart's not beating.
Right.
Don't know how.
Yeah.
But
Right.
that's your Signal 12 over the radio was
Right.
you're going to a deceased body more than likely.
Yeah.
And then retire from here, take off about 8 months, get back into the line of work at a much lower hourly rate, and I'm out in the middle of nowhere.
Right.
And I'm hearing on the radio as I'm learning, because my FTOing from having all the experience down here to going up there, I had 3 days of training, about 2 hours a day, to get me used to the county area.
Right. Station familiarization.
And I kept hearing, I'll be out here, Signal 12, and I finally look at the guy that I'm training with, has a lot less years of experience, but a wealth of knowledge for what I'm learning up there.
Sure.
And I'm like, how many Signal 12s do y'all have? He's like, at least 2 per shift. And I'm like, you gotta
Holy
be kidding me.
2 per shift?
And I'm like, well, break that down to me. He's like, we're allowed 2 lunch breaks. So up there is lunch breaks. And, so I heard some, anyway, so put 2 and 2 together. There were not that many dead bodies.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that would be different. It is. It's the code. It's funny that the codes vary from spot to spot. Like, 32. That's a person with what? Yeah.
Yep.
So
23, 25.
Yep.
I'm on a 30 with a 14.
We used to have to say we're out on a 37 or a 38, auspicious person. That type of thing, and it's just, I'm going to run a 28, which is pretty nationally known, I think. The 28s are
27, 28. Yeah.
Yep.
27, 29. That's what it is. Yeah.
So then for me, I'm in New Jersey State Police and we have our own codes. Now I go to Albuquerque, right?
Completely different.
Oh, it's a complete different
Oh, yeah,
language.
that
It took me a while to understand,
Now, did you guys use military phonetics in the trooper world, or did you use
all the time.
Okay, so you Yankee Zulu, you're using those. Then when
All
you
the
went to
time.
Albuquerque, did they use the police ones?
Very different.
Yeah.
Very different. I mean, come on, on midnights, we were playing Full Metal Jacket over on the car to car because, we were just we were all about it, pal. You know? And then Albuquerque, it's a very different scenario.
Well, I'm sure your dispatchers were like, did I detect a 9er in that?
Yeah. Every officer that I worked with in the field as a patrolman, they knew if I started calling out military phonetics, they needed to get there.
Yeah.
Because I had hit a stress level.
Yep.
And
Snapped.
I may not sound like it.
Yep.
sometimes I did. Sometimes I definitely sounded like it.
You reverted
But-
back to your first training.
But yeah, they hear me start going military phonetics. They knew that my stress level had went up and
Yep.
I was reverting back. So they would be show me en route. It's like, I appreciate it.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
he started to take off faster and whatever. But
Well, you learn the people on your squad. right?
yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. Now, Lenny,
What do you got?
You did your trooper thing. You went over to Albuquerque. You did your nerdy tech thing for real-time crime centers and fusion centers.
Yeah.
And you did something that is very hard for a lot of police to do. You transitioned,
Sure.
not medically transitioned, but
Thank you.
you transitioned your career field.
Yeah,
You went private sector.
I did.
Okay.
Never thought I would do it.
Explain that whole process. Give hope to those that are getting near the end,
Yeah.
and let me know what it is you're doing now.
So awesome. Happy to do it. It really kind of, I got to back up just a couple steps though, if that's okay, Eric.
Okay, back it up.
Like I had retired from the New Jersey State Police and I was just living my best life. I had a little consulting firm on the side for a while. Like a day at work was literally sitting on the beach with a laptop and a cell phone. And yeah, that's when I was a consultant. And then I go to New Mexico on vacation, right? And I'm out there with my family having a grand old time. And like I'm fishing up at this place called Sherry Ponds. Great place to fish. And I'm talking to this guy who's fishing next to me and we're just kind of chit chatting. I'm telling him, yeah, I'm retired. And he's like, what did you do? And I'm explaining to him like fusion centers, real-time crime centers. And he goes like, hey, you should call Albuquerque PD because they're looking for somebody that has your skills. And to this day, I have no idea how that man, I have no idea who it was, but like literally I go back to the cabin at night and I go back and I see, look at Indeed and I'm like, oop, Albuquerque Police Department, real-time crime center. And like, I show it to my wife and she's like, wow, has everything but your picture. It's all the things you've done in your career. And so sure enough, I come back from vacation. Like, I'm like, all right, I'm going to follow up on this and like file an application, put in a resume. And like, I laugh, like I said, like an hour later, it may have been 90 minutes, but like 90 minutes later, like my phone rings and it's this guy, Mark Velarde. And Mark Velarde's like, hey, like he starts conversation like, are you Lenny Nebretski? I'm like, yeah. He's like, dude, are you for real? And I start laughing. He goes, I'm like, what are you talking about? He goes like, I've been looking for somebody with your experience and skills for like 6 months. We haven't been able to find somebody. Would you really come to New Mexico? And so I explained a story. Like I was married in Taos, New Mexico 31 years ago. We have a little cabin up there. And so like, we love the area. I was like, yeah, we'd come to New Mexico in a heartbeat. He's like, well, this is the craziest thing. Like me and my deputy chief are going to be in New York in 2 weeks. Would you come meet us when we're in New York? I'm like, it's an hour away. Sure. My job interview was in a hotel bar. Like literally 10 minutes into my job interview, like I'm showing the chief, like the pictures of the fish I'd caught on vacation. And he's like, oh, bro, it makes sense now. Now I know why you want to come to New Mexico. And it's like, the next thing I know, I'm in the Albuquerque Police Department running a real-time crime center. It was meant to happen. Like I wasn't looking for it. I wasn't out there hunting for it.
Yeah.
It kind of came my way. And like a lot of things in my career, like just kind of happened that way. Like right place, right time. I think I'm supposed to be there. All the doors open up. Next thing you know, I'm running a real-time crime center. I walk in the door at the Albuquerque Police Department Real-Time Crime Center and like leaving New Jersey with like a lot of challenges around data that I was never really able to solve. Like I walk in the door at Albuquerque, different agency, right? State police to major metropolitan police department, same exact problem. 10 or 15 different systems that they had purchased over the years that just didn't connect. Everything was siloed. Like the chief would ask a question. Next thing you know, an analyst is scrambling for a day and a half try to pull information to answer the chief's question. Just didn't make any sense whatsoever. And so I reached out to a buddy of mine. I got reconnected with a guy named Matt Melton, who was working for AWS at the time. He now works for us at Paragrin. Call Matt and I'm like, hey, like it's a mess here. I really need help. Like their data has got some real challenges. We were doing the best we can with what we had, but like we could definitely be doing better. And I remember to this day, like he connects me up and he's like, you really should talk to these people from Paragrin. They're, at the time they were newer, but he's like, they have something that's a little bit different, they're on the ball. So I get on a call with this guy, the CEO at the time, CEO, Nick Noon, who's CEO today. And like Nick and I get on a call and he's explaining to me like his vision and like what he really wants to do. And he used very specific terms that resonated with me. He's like, technology providers could be doing a better job to help law enforcement agencies. Like that was me. Like I felt like I needed better technology. And then like he turns on the platform and like he's showing me like what he's built out in a couple agencies that he was working with. And he's like explaining the vision for like what we can do now and where we're going and like how we're doing all this and what we're pulling together to help, law enforcement agencies do their jobs better. And like for you guys, like I know you can relate, like at that moment I was struck with the realization that I had finally found the person who understood what I was trying to do in law enforcement and had built the platform to help me do it. Like, and from that day, like I have been a fan. I mean, I have been a fan. I ended up being Paragrin's third customer at Albuquerque Police Department. And we just used it with tremendous results. And like, we were able to do things in our department we were never able to do before. Like now, like in the story I tell is like, the chief would be in the tunnel going over to the mayor's office to have a meeting. And I'd get like a frantic phone call and he'd be like, Lenny, or Autoberg's up in beat 434. I'm like, no, hold on, chief. And like, literally I'd crack out my laptop and like, hold on, chief. And I go and I like, no, chief, they're down. He's like, you're sure they're down? Yeah, no, chief, the Autobergs are down in beat 434. He's like, bet your paycheck on it? I'm like, I think I just did, chief. And he's like, thanks. I'm like, so like, like literally in seconds, I could provide him the information he need to go have a meeting or talk to somebody, like wherever he was going. But like, I was able to provide him that information so quickly, so accurately that I had faith and confidence in. Like I would use the platform, tell people I use the platform every day, 20 times a day to solve problems.
So one of the things that for people trying to understand, one,
I talk fast.
Paragrin is where you transitioned to.
Thank you.
Working for them. And the fix, if I'm hearing you correctly, is that one of the things that it fixed for you was taking all these programs that, let's face it, each department may have some sort of siloed control over. And what I mean by that for people listening is your crime analyst has this one piece of tech that they got ordered for them because it helps them in their job.
Right.
But simultaneously, that would help other officers in their position, but they don't use it and they don't have the ability to get access to it.
Right.
Then you have your gang unit that has GangNet, which is another program that gang can use, but nobody else has access to, that would help other people throughout the department, including your crime analysts. So I'm painting you guys a picture where all these different siloed programs that work specific for these specialized units, Paragrin was able to take that and say, oh, we're not going to take away your stuff. We're going to take all the stuff that you currently have and we're going to put it into a bowl for you to pull out of for everybody to use, not just these specialized units, because y'all work for the same team. So y'all need to be able to pull the same information. So it's pulling all the information that you already had. It's just consolidating.
Yeah, so it's doing a little more than consolidating.
This is the dumbed down version. I'm trying for what you just explained. We haven't even gone down the rabbit hole of what you got going on today. So I'm just trying with how quickly you just said that. I'm slowing it down.
The Jersey comes out every
I'm slowing it down, and I'm trying to put it together for guys like Banning to understand.
Yeah, I mean, like what we really do, I mean, like just at our core, what we do is we help an agency get better use of their data than they can today. Like when they have all of these different silos of information, like and the information is not connected or integrated or modeled. I won't go really technical, but like if you have data that you use in your agency, we can help you get more value out of that data.
Yes. Yeah. And one of the aspects that I like about it is, and I say this all the time, this is not Paragrin just happens to be one of our sponsors this year. And
proud sponsor.
I love it. And because before they ever were a sponsor, we're talking years before they ever were a sponsor with what we got going on, I brag about Paragrin all the time. I'm like, this is going to be the next best thing in law enforcement. And I truly believed it. I believe it now, but I believed it then. And I would always say, I was like, it turns the shittiest detective into Sherlock Holmes. And that's just kind of a thing that I coined because to me, that's really what it was doing, and seeing how it could take what would take me weeks to put together, sometimes months,
right,
sometimes years, sometimes it would never get put together because Banning's a detective and Lenny's a detective, and Banning works on the west side, Lenny works on the east side with me, and we've got related cases. We have no clue because 100%. Nothing in the system talks to each other.
Right.
Unless we talked about a case like, man, I just got the 5th rooftop AC unit theft this month. Right. And you're like, oh shit, I've got a bunch of those. And it only happened to be water cooler talk for us. Meanwhile, Banning's got the same thing going on his side of town. That's never going to happen.
Right.
So we could have aggregated all those cases together, but that system, that
Common MO, common suspect.
it would have taken a long time. Things like Paragrin are able to seconds let you know that they're all connected, and then it doesn't just tell you that, hey, you may have some cases connected. It tells you Banning's cases are connected, and that Lenny's cases are connected. So to me, that's the shit. So you go into this private sector, and now you are with a company that's solving all the things that you wish you could have solved quick, fast, and in a hurry as an officer.
Right.
Now, the way I look at it, Lenny, you're still serving.
I had finally made the decision to leave law enforcement, which is like one of the hardest decisions that I ever had to make in my life. But like, and everybody, you know, who's in law enforcement, they understand, like, you get into the profession because you love it. So it's a hard profession to leave. And so like for me, I got to the point where like, I really saw the value in what we were doing. I saw how transformational it was for Albuquerque Police Department. I saw that like there was a potential to help my fellow brothers and sisters in law enforcement do their jobs more effectively, right? Get home at the end of their shift safely. Like that's the kind of impact that it could have for any department out there. I'm like, I got to get this in the hands of as many cops as I can. And so I made the hard decision in the fall of 2021 to step away from Albuquerque Police Department and join the Paragrin team full time. I was the first former retired law enforcement member to come to the team. We are now 8 deep. So there's 8 of us now who are from prior law enforcement on the team. I run what's called the public safety executive team. All right. So we're all former law enforcement who have solved problems using technology, trying to, we work with agencies out there to understand what their problems are and literally to just say like, yeah, that's a problem we don't solve. Like, hey, if you need somebody that does like social media scraping, that's awesome. I understand that capability. That's really not what we do, right? Yeah. We can enhance a social media scrape, but we don't do social media scraping. But like, if you're trying to make better sense of the data that you already own, if you're trying to figure out where to deploy your resources, your officers at the right places at the right time, if you want to pull in all of your camera feeds and your LPR feeds and your AVL and your body worn and all your data into one place to make it more operationally useful, like we're the company for you. And so the public safety team works with law enforcement agencies to understand what their problems are and explain to them how we could potentially help them.
I love it. I love it. So in that, with that program and its ability, because is that a good way to describe it? Is it's a program
as far as like the public safety executives?
Yeah.
So we're a team that supports many elements throughout the company, but like our whole goal there is to help. Like we do that translation piece that's so important. Like we help. One of the coolest things that I love about my job, right, is like once a week I get to get on a call with some super, super smart engineering folks, both like back-end engineering, front-end engineering. I get to get on a call with them every Friday and talk about like what cops need, right? And like explain to them like, hey, out in the field, they need this or they need that, or it does this now and now it needs to do something different. Like I get to translate to them like what an officer needs in the field, and then they go and build it. And they don't build it in 18 months. They build it like in a day sometimes. Like I think one of the coolest things that ever happened was I was out at a customer site and I'm working with Serena, who's a crime analyst, and she's an awesome crime analyst. And she was explaining that like the platform on that time would, like she wanted to draw 2 polygons and you had to search each polygon one at a time. And she wanted to draw 2 polygons, search them both at the same time. And it was a capability that just didn't exist at the time. So like literally, here, Serena, talk to the engineer. Put the engineer on the phone with Serena. They have a conversation. He hands me the phone back, and he's like, "Yeah, that's actually not too bad. Like we'll get to that as soon as we can." And like the next day, like they made the change right now, and like they made the change to the software, so now the capability would exist like in 24 hours. Right? Push the change out because we're a SaaS platform, and push the change out. Now Serena has got that update. She's got that new capability. But then like we take that same capability that we just built for Serena and we share it with everybody. And because we have that ability to make changes to the platform, make enhancements, like, build new capabilities for our customers, like the platform is like a living, breathing organism. Like it constantly changes and evolves and new capabilities come in because we listen to what cops and analysts and our customers need. And we're able to quickly turn around those requests for them and get them back out to the field. And that's why the platform continues to grow in capability. I know I'm getting a little technical, but Yeah.
So in that, one of the things I like to do is put confidence behind products that are for public service.
Yeah.
Because one of the first things people start worrying about is Big Brother.
Yeah.
So in that confidence building, can you get into a little bit of the checks and balances
Sure.
that they have?
Sure.
And then after you do that, I want your favorite success story because of what you're doing.
All right, cool. Yeah. And so like, the safeguards that, privacy and civil liberties are like, those are the core. Like, you have to protect people's civil rights. You have to protect privacy. And so like, those are not things that you can bolt on. Like you can't build a software platform and then say, oh, we got to add all the security measures in. Like those capabilities to do auditing, right? Those capabilities to do granular permission control, like they're built into the core of the platform. So the platform was actually constructed with those concerns in mind. And we are constantly testing, we're constantly updating those capabilities. We're listening to our customers. We're addressing things that they see very quickly and easily, because we know that like, if you don't have those privacy, you don't have those privacy capabilities enabled, like you can't be successful. And so like, we take that very, very seriously. And then like, as far as success stories, wow, holy cow. It just really kind of depends on like, we solve a lot of problems for law enforcement agencies. So like we have we work very closely with Fairfax County Police Department. They're awesome customers. We love working with them. And it seems like every week they're talking to us about a scenario where they're in their real-time crime center and maybe it's an abduction. I think actually the one that one of the recent ones that I thought was really impactful for us is like they had a number of complaints about somebody that, a person who was harassing children, and they couldn't really kind of get a handle on it. And they had like a sketch. And then so what they didn't realize was they had a number of different cases come in on the same suspect in different locations, but somehow they had never gotten connected through like their RMS system. And then they very quickly, once they deployed Paragrin, they were very quickly able to see, oh my God, like I have a case over here and I have a case over here. And like, it's the same potential suspect. And we were able to link those cases together. They identified a suspect, they apprehended and charged the suspect. And so now we've got a much safer community. Like those are the things that get me out of bed and put me on a plane every week. Cause like, I want to get this in the hands of fellow law enforcement so they can do their jobs better.
Dude, I get so pumped up.
I do
get
too.
so pumped. Like that's the nerd side of me in doing this. And when we talk about this podcast and all that stuff, when we got banning involved, like these are the things that I build it around because I get so pumped up about new ways to fix old problems.
Oh yeah.
Because crime is still crime. They either hurt someone, stole something. That's pretty much it, really. Hurt people and steal stuff. I mean, that's what it really comes down to. And there's just new and creative ways to do all of these things. Yeah. Especially with technology. We're always behind the curve, I think.
Yeah.
But we're quickly catching up with things like what you guys got going on.
So just another example, because this is, again, another one that was important for me. Like in many departments, like CompStat's like a dirty word. Like people just do not like CompStat.
CompStat's such a pain in the ass too.
I know. And it's because like a lot of people don't have the tools to run an effective CompStat.
Can you explain what CompStat is?
Yeah. So CompStat it's a very well, it's a lot of agencies use CompStat. It's well deployed, and it's a way for an agency's leadership to check to see how the agency is doing on progress to like specific goals. Like if a specific goal for an agency is we're going to drive down auto burglaries across the city for 15% in the next year. Like CompStat, it's a way to come together, see how you're doing on pace, making sure that you're driving down those goals, you're identifying crime trends, you're getting out in front of them, you're addressing those issues, and you come to the CompStat meeting. We're having hard conversations about what's working, right? Because when this is the thing that people forget about CompStat. Like CompStat is about what's working and what's not working, and a lot of times it's the CompStat meeting is only focused on what's not working. A good CompStat will take a minute to highlight the things that are working, because like when you're driving down crime in a certain beat or a certain area command or a certain district, you're doing something right. Let's capture that in the meeting. Let's understand what we're doing right to have that positive result. And then let's do a whole lot more of it. So it's, you have to look at both what's going, what you're doing right, and then the areas for improvement. And like most people, like before I had Paragrin at Albuquerque, I I did what I knew. I got it together a bunch of PowerPoint slides. I threw a bunch of static maps in there with some static stats. And it was just, what I'll say is it was the opposite of dynamic.
Right.
And
how long did that process take?
Oh, God, like my crime analyst would spend an entire week.
I was going to say,
pulling all the information together to try to have like this, so I could put together slides to run a CompStat meeting.
The manpower and hours that go behind traditional CompStat it's a 40-hour, probably takes 20 hours of one person, not to mention not to mention the people in the background, like your crime analysts, that are pulling that stuff for the person that's going to piece it all together.
Right.
So,
and for us, like, we quickly, once we got Paragrin, like one of the first things I did was I took it from that very static PowerPoint presentation style to moving the whole meeting into, onto the Paragrin platform. And like what that did, I think this is something I'm really proud of as well, is like, if you're a commander in the Southeast and you're coming to CompStat to talk about like what's going well and where we have some challenges in the Southeast, right? You have the ability to look at the data in Paragrin. So you see for yourself, like what's going on in your area. Like there's no gotcha moment. There's no, ambush. There's no, like, we're talking about the same data. Like you can see the data we're going to talk about in CompStat 2-3 days before. So like you can be prepared. Like there's none of this ambush style CompStat. Like we know where we're doing good. We know we have some areas where we need to work on. Come prepared to talk about what you've done, what's working and what's not working. So like that whole gotcha is gone.
Yeah. The part that I want people to take, because if you're outside of law enforcement and you're listening to this, you're like, how does this pertain to me? Here's how it pertains to you. The way that I would look at this from a citizen's point of view, a taxpayer's point of view, is getting people to do the job right now is difficult. Getting the money to hire for a new position is difficult. So we have two very difficult things in a career field that's shrinking and is getting harder and harder to get the people you want to do it. When you get something like this, the way I'm looking at it is you just created a force multiplier that almost cannot be measured, because you've just killed manpower and the time that it takes to do all these things almost in a way that you can't quantify. You can track it if you really want to.
Right.
But taking 20 hours away from one person for CompStat,
yep.
you just saved 20 hours for the city.
Yep.
Now let's put, 5 detectives together that all have the same MO cases. We've just shrunk that down into minutes versus weeks and months, if ever. So that's just on saving money from the manpower side that I'm looking at, not to mention accountability. So you've got your cases. When you have a product like Paragrin, you can see the leads and you can make sure that they're followed up on.
100%.
You can find out if your officers and your detectives are doing their job.
Right.
And if they're not, we can start having the tough conversations. Hey, I see this lead. You haven't hit it yet. What's the deal?
Right.
Oh, sorry, I got caught up on this case. Okay, that makes sense.
Right.
We'll make sure these get followed up.
Right.
Or, hey, I checked out these cases you closed out or pended. Bro, you missed all this.
Right.
That's unsat. You got to fix that quick, fast, and in a hurry. So now we're giving that customer satisfaction to our taxpayers that deserve it. So when I'm looking at this and I hear you say all that stuff, I'm like, all right, I don't want this to sound pitchy. That's not what we're going for here. What I'm going for is there's some things that are out there that the public's not aware of that can help your department out so much. And I'm willing to lay on the sword to tell you, like, this is one of those things and not enough people know about it. So here's the opportunity. Let's talk about it.
Right.
And now we've built up the trust behind a guy that's done the job for this long between two departments and knows what the fuck he's talking about. Not just a guy that had to, you could get any guy that's been a cop 20 years and people out there are going to be like, oh, he must know what he's talking about. We both know that that's not true. I've been around guys that have done the job for a long time and they still think you can just go up and ID somebody because they got a call there. Yeah. I'm like, what the fuck? But
well, what do you call that? Like, it's not 20 years of experience. It's 1 year of experience repeated 20 times.
Yes. Yes, exactly. So that's the point that I was trying to get to with this and kind of hammer home for those that are outside of law enforcement. Now, those that are in law enforcement, you know how it goes. You see the shiny toy. You really hope your department will get it, but they don't always have the right push. They don't have the right things going on in their department, right? And they got other worries.
Yep.
But if your citizens get on board and are like, why don't you have this?
Right.
We have a manpower issue. We're down 300 officers.
Right.
Things aren't getting solved. Cases are stacking up.
Gotta be
you
more
need
efficient.
to get this. Be more efficient. So that's the push I'm trying. I always try to get the citizens behind something I think that will help them.
Yeah.
And I've got to ask, I work for a law enforcement tech company too, and that this show's not about that today. But I recently, just a year ago, jumped off the diving board from that protective job, being a law enforcement officer, and took that leap. And mine went outstanding. I know a lot of people's good, but some people don't go so great.
Yeah.
But what I'm getting at is you've made a lot of connections as well all over the country, not just because of the position you're in now, but your experience within that law enforcement realm. Have you ever gotten that rookie or intermediate advanced cop call you and say, I love Paragrin so much. Can you give me something that I can take to my supervisors to help push the want to get a demo, to get a, and I'm sure you've gotten those calls.
All the time. We get them, we get them all the time. And it's just like, we're very fortunate that like we solve a lot of problems for a department. Like when we start to just ask the simple questions, like how difficult is it for you to do your job on a daily basis? Like how many times do you find that you really need information that's really difficult for you to find, right? How many times do you wish like after you were at a call, you had this information before you walked into a call? And then we show them like how easy it is to pull that information to make it like operationally useful. And one of the things again, like I really appreciate is like, depending upon what kind of user you are, like, you can pull data very quickly, whether it's from a mobile data terminal, whether it's from a smartphone app. So like we make it so it's easy to use for your particular role. And so then like, once we start to show them all those things, they understand like what we can do for them. Like we arm them with that information. They say, go back and like, look, these folks can help us solve this problem that every one of our officers has every day. We can cut, 30% of the time we spend trying to pull information to do a report or to follow up on an investigation. That is real value for a department. Like that's now like we're talking about freeing up resources so they can be more effective. They can be more proactive. They can spend more time in the community. Like that's really what we're focused on.
Yeah. Now I like to be fair and balanced.
Yep.
So in the fair and balanced part of that, and I know you'll be honest.
Yeah.
You guys have competitors now that have come to the forefront that didn't exist when I first found you guys.
Right.
When I first found you, you were the only one of your guys' kind.
Sure.
And so that was what made me so interested. But time has caught on. Competitors have come out. What sets you apart?
Yeah. And so thanks for that, Eric. And so like, and again, like, you're not going to ever hear me talk bad about another vendor. It's just not what we're about. Like we'll stand on our own capabilities. I think like if you look at how the company is built to this day, like the vast majority of our headcount of people working at Paragrin, we still staff with really top level engineering talent. Like we have a good portion of our company. And I don't have the percentages, off the top of my head, but still a very good portion of our company is some of the best and brightest engineering talent in the market. And these are folks that have worked in many, many companies, in the tech space. And then they come to us and we give them a mission that they can buy into, like, really helping to make their community a safer place. And so we attract this top level engineering talent that allows us to do things that, quite frankly, some other companies just can't do. Like we have some incredibly talented engineers that enable us to turn around, feature changes or build new capabilities or, to do things with the platform that other folks just can't do. And so like, we're always happy to go like, call us both into a room, ask us the same question, see how both of us respond. I think we used to call that the Pepsi challenge when back in my day, I'm a little older. I'm happy to take the Pepsi challenge any day. And like, just nothing derogatory to say about those other companies out there. Just put us side by side and let the customer make the decision.
I like it. I like it. Got anything for him, Banny?
No, I've been, I was introduced to Paragrin from Eric. And I started doing my own research on it, and this was while I was still a law enforcement officer.
Yeah,
and I didn't work for the largest agency out there that didn't really have the ability to get anything, let alone something of the magnitude of Paragrin. And I pushed for it and was quickly shot down, not because of Paragrin or the abilities, was they didn't have any latitude at all for that year. And but doing more research into it, I still can't wait to see it function in front of me somewhere, because Eric has kind of dissected it to me, and wow, what an amazing company to work for. I mean, it sounds awesome.
Yeah, and like we like working with other, like we consider, we partner with software companies all the time.
Sure.
It's up to like the agency, right? You want the agency to get the most value out of their technology investment. Sure. So like we work with pretty much every technology company under the sun, right, to partner with them so that the agency gets the most bang for their buck.
Yeah. Yes, that is my biggest draw to all the companies that people will hear me push. The reason I push them is because of the teamwork, the integration, you're never going to become rich. I say this loosely. You're never going to become rich by just trying to be proprietary and going into the government.
Right.
Like it doesn't work, because this police agency has this stuff going on over here, whether it's Axon body cameras, and then over here they got WatchGuard body cameras. They got to work together. They got to be
100%.
able to work together when they're out in the field. So that's what I look for. You got companies like First Two. I like giving them shout outs all the time, because First Two integrates with everybody.
Right.
Paragrin will integrate with anybody.
Right.
Axon, I think I'm not as familiar. I'm heavily into using Axon. I got their body cam, their taser, dash cams. Like
LPR. Right?
I think we're getting their LPR. I'm not 100% sure on that, to be honest, but they integrate.
Right.
And that's what we need, because us as civilians and as citizens, taxpayers, we can't afford to be, put against the wall, so to speak, with something that's proprietary, and now we're stuck.
Right.
We get Nike shoes, Nike shirts, Nike whatever, and that's all we can get because they won't mix and match with anything else at our department. We're screwed. Now we're stuck with Nike the whole time.
Right.
And there may be some better stuff out there.
And I think like in this day and age, like the idea that one vendor can solve all of your problems, like hopefully we're past that. Like, I mean, like there's just so much, the pace of innovation is just staggering in 2025. Like, and there are so many great companies out there doing great things to help, support public safety. Like we shouldn't bar entry to that. Like
right.
We need to get past that thought process that one company can do it all for us as a law enforcement.
I hate the term single pane of glass. Oh my God. You want to alienate me really quick? Say single pane of glass. Yeah. That drives me insane. It does not work in law enforcement. We have too many different moving parts going on. The way I like pointing it out to people is, guess what we have for cars where I'm at? We've got Tahoes, we got Ford Explorers, we got Chargers. Like, we have variety.
Yep.
Variety is the spice of life. Variety is the same in policing. Yeah. You got to have all these things. They got to be able to talk to each other. They got to be able to work together. And that is the difference between private sector for citizens and the government.
Right.
The government's got to be able to work together, because we're not in it for profit. We're in it to get a job done.
Right.
And that's
serve the community.
Serves the community. Yeah. Absolutely. So, sir, have I missed anything that you knew you wanted to get out there today?
I don't think you missed anything, but like what I will say is that, one, I really appreciate the opportunity to be here. I can't tell you how happy and proud I am to be here and spend a little time with you. I also want to kind of note that, like, the thing that I really love about my life now that I've transitioned out of law enforcement and I'm into the private sector, I think like the thing that I love the most that I get to do is like, I get to spend my day every day with cops, right? Yeah. My brothers and sisters in law enforcement. I don't get to put on a uniform anymore. I don't get to go out and do that type of work anymore, but I get to spend my day with cops, and that's, I get to help make their lives better. Like, I believe in what we're doing, and I truly believe in my core that we help them do their jobs better. And that is just so incredibly fulfilling for me now that I'm no longer in law enforcement.
I like it. Yeah. I like it. And I like what you've got going on right now. again, everything with me is about balance.
Yeah.
And with what you're doing, you're able to provide balance for the citizens and balance for the police department
Sure.
with checks and balances. Even though that's not its primary function, it's just nice to know that exists, and that makes me happy. So
I'd love to come back in the future, and next time I'll bring my bagpipes.
Okay.
So you know, we didn't get to talk about this, but like one of the coolest things I ever got to do with state police was I joined the Pipes and Drums of the Blue and Gold.
Okay.
And got to play with that fine organization. So next time
we'll save it. Yeah.
I'll bring my bagpipes.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And the sound of a bagpipe is amazing. I
Oh, yeah.
absolutely amazing. So I didn't know that about you. That's awesome, man. That's really interesting.
I could see you being a big bass drum guy.
I could just be the bag on the pipe. I mean,
There you go. Yeah, shoot. Maybe we could get like a little fireside chat. We'll get the pipes out there. You got the fireplace right there. So
let's do that next time.
That'd be fun. Heck yeah. Well, everybody, thanks for joining us. Lenny, thank you for coming out. Appreciate it, sir. Banning, not bad for our first time doing it, huh?
Yeah, not bad at all.
We got some fixes to do, I've seen already, but we'll get it figured out as we keep going. So everybody, thank you for joining us, and have a good night.